Hello and welcome to the All by the Popcorn podcast. I'm Alessandra.
And I'm Emily.
And we're here with you in the morning. It's time to finish up The Crown.
The next day.
Yes, because we ended up talking for quite a long time. If you watched the first episode, we went through a lot of characters and already went through the very first cast and on to the second cast with season 3.
Yep.
So now we're on season 4.
I'm sure there's still lots to go over.
Yeah. It's
There's a lot.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like I'm in like a class. Like I'm in like a Royals 101. Yeah. Like in college.
But the thing is also this is very dramatized. So there's some things that are not entirely accurate, but it's the general gist.
But gotta make it more exciting for TV.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why you get that. So
exactly.
Okay, well, we're on season 4. This takes place from 1979 to 1990. We still have Olivia Colman as the queen here.
Olivia Colman.
And this was released in 2020 during the pandemic.
Oh, pandemic season.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here is the same cast basically, but I've added more of the kids that are featured in this.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much the same. And yeah. Okay. And season 3 has other important characters. Oh, where is Margaret Thatcher? Okay.
You did really good.
I will fix it. Okay, episode 1, Gold Stick. Charles is around now. He is going about town and absolutely just has tons of girlfriends after Camilla got married. So it's kind of like not his family wants him to settle down. He's like 32 or something and they're like, you know, maybe it's time that you get yourself a princess or something.
And he's like, no.
Yeah. He started dating this girl, Sarah Spencer, and he visits her house and actually sees the young Diana there. And she is like dressed up as Puck from Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah, in this thing.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
And she kind of like, you know, has a little conversation with him. But she's quite young. I think she's like 14 or 15 at this point. So he hasn't started dating her yet. But
so that's what's going to happen there.
But this is the first time he meets her.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, there's a lot going on with Ireland right now. The Queen is very unliked there. There's a lot of tension.
Yeah.
Okay, here's Thatcher. Woo!
Is that Diana Scully?
Yes.
Look at that!
It is.
Oh my
Gillian
goodness.
Anderson, who I also really love from Sex Education.
Oh, yes. We love Gillian Anderson in this household.
She's a goddess, honestly. But as Thatcher, I mean, she's great as Thatcher, but Thatcher, not a goddess. Okay. The Queen is very excited, as you can see. Did you see any of the previous thing?
Those are the raised eyebrows of someone who's excited. What?
Yeah, the raised eyebrows of somebody who's very excited. Oh, hey. Olivia Colman. All right. Everybody is at Balmoral right now, which is up in Scotland. We've seen this before, but that's where they live for about the summertime.
Okay.
Up in Scotland.
Their summer home? Their
summer home, yes. And they love it. And they also go there for Christmas time.
Oh, I bet that's sweet.
Anne is married, but she's like afraid to get back on horseback riding because she's really, really into horse riding.
Horse girl.
Yeah, she's a horse girl, like even more than her mom because she actually like rides them like in competitions.
Ooh.
So, Charles is still having a hard time with the fact that he's still in love with Camilla.
Yep.
And so he tells his Uncle Dickie about it. And Uncle Dickie is like, girl, he's like, boy, you need to like let go of this. It's unhealthy.
Yeah.
So this is bad. He has that big fight with Charles about it. And then he goes on this boat with his family, like his grandkids and his like son and stuff. And the IRA blows it up. And they all die.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Dickie?
Dickie dies, yeah.
And his family?
And his family. Isn't that horrible?
Oh my God.
It really happened.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
It's really bad. It's really sad too. And he had written this letter to Charles to tell him to find a sweet, innocent girl to marry.
Creepy.
I know.
Nasty.
But now Charles has to go do that because Dickie was his favorite. Like, obviously, even more than his own father.
I mean, I get that, but like, don't be gross.
Okay. And Dickie chose Charles to actually do the reading at his funeral and not Philip. So Philip gets pissed.
Of course he does.
Because he's jealous of his own son.
Because he's a little bitch.
'Cause he's a little bitch. They're both little bitches.
They're all little bitches.
Mm-hmm. But in Philip's defense, not that he needs it, but Dickie was also like a father to him too.
Mm.
And Dickie was everything that he didn't have in a father. So it's a painful thing that happens to them. It's really, really sad.
Yeah.
Okay. There's still more tensions. There's a horse thing that Anne does at her trials. Her parents are there. It's actually super cute. They go and cheer her on because everybody loves Anne.
Yeah.
They love Charles. Charles also is there. It's very cute. Charles goes to the fair and meets Diana for the very first time. And then, or for the second time, he didn't really recognize her because she was in a costume before.
Right.
And they meet at the fair, like, really, really briefly. And then he goes to her house to take her out on a date.
Oh.
So.
All right.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The Balmoral test happens, which is dating. You'll see. It's like, bringing the person home to Balmoral is a very big deal. It's bringing them home to the queen, to the parents. So you have to pass that test.
Oh, okay.
They've canceled their plans to do anything because there's this giant stag on their property and they're obsessed with like shooting. Yeah. They go stalking all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Because they own like so much land.
Yeah.
So much land up there. Charles is courting Diana, so he took her to the opera and her grandmother has to sit between them.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
as a chaperone.
Yeah, but Diana's totally flirting with him. So he's not necessarily flirting. He's just there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Thatcher goes to Balmoral as well. She's cutting $4 billion in spending in the government. Thatcher's politics are generally let's reduce government spending. Let's remove all social programs. People need to work for themselves. She's basically like the ultimate Republican. Mm-hmm. And it's very harsh because there's a lot of working class people who hate her.
Yeah. Because
she took away things. Like she doesn't like unions. She's just like so anti everything. And it's just like, girl, have some compassion.
Yeah.
She's not compassionate at all.
No.
It's just horrible.
Doesn't sound like it.
So anyway, her cabinet hates her because they're like, you're doing it's too much, girl. It's too much. She gets invited up to Balmoral and this scene is hilarious. She's just complaining about all the hoity-toityness of it. And there's an in-group. Like the family is the in-group. And if you're in the in-group, you're in. And if you're in the out-group, you know it because no one tells you what to do. They show up in their dinner dress. And the family's still in their stocking outfits. And they're all like, what the fuck are you wearing? Why are you wearing this right now? It's like 4 p.m.
Oh, goodness.
And they're like, well, we thought we were going to have dinner now. No one told us that we weren't. And then like look at the Queen Mother. She's such a bitch. And then they play this game. Because it's like a little bit more like relaxed up in Balmoral. They play this game that's like a dibble dibble 1 to dibble dibble 2 with 4 dibble dibbles on their head. They have like dots on their heads and they have to like shout to each other. It's kind of like that like zip zap zop game, you know? And it's like, it's just a fun game that they play as a family. And then it gets to Margaret Thatcher and she talks really, really slowly. And she's like, 1 dibble dibble to 2 dibble dibble. And it's like ridiculous. And
no.
Everybody's like, yay.
Yeah.
So awkward.
Oh no.
Okay. Then they're like, we're gonna go out stalking. You should come with us. You know. And look what she's fucking wearing.
She's wearing bright blue to go stalking.
And I didn't get a picture of her feet, but like she's wearing like practical shoes for the office, not practical shoes for fucking stalking, like boots.
Yeah.
And then the queen's like, I maybe could find some boots for you or something. But then she goes out there. She's totally wearing the wrong stuff. The queen's like, why don't you turn around and go back? Literally, they got out there, and then she's like, actually, maybe it'd be best if we went back. It's so annoying. They dragged her ass out there.
Wow, they are really...
God, it's horrible. And she's so pissed about it. She's still in Scotland. Camilla told... So Diana, like, Charles is like, I'm going to invite her up to Balmoral and he's like, I don't know if I should do this. I like her, but I don't really, really like her. And then Camilla's like, you should do it. You should marry her.
Okay.
Thatcher's leaving early because the cabinet hates her and she thinks everybody is boorish and snobby. I also didn't show, they're doing like a, Scottish games. You know how they like lift the really heavy trees?
Oh, yeah.
And they do like the throwing and that stuff. So they're there and she's just like, I hate this place. I hate these people.
Oh, gosh.
Look at her face. She's just so pissed.
She's not happy.
Then Diana comes and her grandma says, don't fuck this up.
Ooh.
She's arrived. She's doing well. Philip wakes her up really early in the morning and they go stalking and they shoot the stag together. Ooh. He's like, which way's the wind going? And she goes, it's coming from this way. And he goes, I think it's coming from this way. And she goes, no, it's not. It's coming from this way. And she was right.
Ooh.
And so then he's really, really impressed with her. And they come home. They're covered in dirt. Everybody is extremely impressed because they're like, we love her. You should marry her, Charles. You got to marry her. She's absolutely perfect.
Oh, man.
And she's also like 18.
Yeah.
So she's like moldable.
And Charles is 32?
Yeah, he's like 30. Yeah. 31.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's already not going great. I mean, so Thatcher is literally going to get rid of her cabinet. Charles has decided to marry Diana, even though he does not know her at all. And she's being chased by the media, obviously, constantly. She does this little sly smile thing all the time. Like,
okay.
Yeah. That's like part of Diana. She's kind of like...
I bet the media loves it.
All of her attention that goes to her... Yeah, I mean, of course, that's kind of like her deflecting. It's like she doesn't know what to do, so she just goes like, yeah.
That's really Bella Swan of her.
It is so. She was like the first one,
Like
she
Diana walked so that Bella Swan could run.
It's absolutely true. Okay, this is like the fairy tale episode, right?
It is Alice in Wonderland episode.
So Diana does come from a high class family. She comes from her father's Lord Spencer. Mm-hmm. So like they have their own like home and everything, and he's a lord, but they don't have a lot of money. They're not like rich or anything. Because just because you're high class doesn't mean you're rich. Like it's like
you're well off, but you're not rich.
They have like their own. It's like they have titles, but that does not mean that they have wealth.
Okay.
So like titles matter more in this instance. So she comes from a good family. Mm-hmm. So that's what they actually care about. And Charles asked Diana to marry him and he doesn't even kneel. He just stands in front of her.
Oh gosh.
Look at this. And so the whole first beginning of this episode is phone calls between Margot and the Queen and Charles and Anne, and everybody's talking on the phone. It's like that Bye Bye Birdie song where they're just like calling each other on the phone. And it's like all about how he asked her to marry him.
Oh, like pretty much telling everyone.
Yeah. She goes home and her 3 girlfriends that live with her just scream like, look at this one. My God.
Yeah.
And then they go dancing.
Okay. So that's an excited scream. It's not like a horrific
No, it's a like
event.
It's a like, I can't believe my roommate's marrying the Prince of Wales.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's pretty exciting.
Like one day she'll be queen.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like what?
Yeah, it's wild. So all of a sudden they're like, Diana, you got to move into the palace because the media is insane. They're always hounding you. It's going to be really bad. It's probably best if you move into the palace. She goes and meets the royal family for dinner at one point. They're all standing in a circle. She gets in the center of the circle and doesn't know which person to curtsy to first and how to say like, it's your majesty or like your grace. Like she doesn't know because no one fucking told her.
Nope.
Sensing a pattern with the royal family. They're so aggravating. They don't tell her anything, so she just feels like an idiot, and she's a young woman. So it's like, that's literally always making her feel dumb all the time.
Yeah.
She has to pick out a wedding ring, and she picks out one that no one else wanted her to pick out. It's like
Cool.
this beautiful
then why was
sapphire.
it in the options?
She had options. She could choose, but they're like, you should choose this one. She goes, I'm not going to choose that one. Because like, she doesn't want to choose the one the queen liked for whatever reason.
Yep.
And then they get interviewed by the press, and Charles, they ask like, what's it feel like to be in love? And he goes like, whatever being in love means.
Oh. Ow. That's not a good answer.
And it's just like, and then Diana tells her friends, and she's like, he said this weird thing. That's not a red flag, right? No.
That's like a blood red flag.
Okay. Then he has to go on tour. For some reason, they planned this so that he would be gone for months after they get engaged. It's so
Of course.
stupid.
I like to plan these tours at like the worst times.
And that's why I said this is like Priscilla vibes. She's alone in the house, Buckingham Palace, just skating everywhere. She dances all day long too much. You know, she has her eating disorder, bulimia. She's like getting tutored by her grandmother every day, who treats her like she's stupid. Like, her grandma's so fucking mean to her. It's just like, everybody's
gosh.
mean to her.
Yeah.
And they're just like, she's just unhappy. She's so unhappy. She also gets like thousands and thousands of gifts. Like, you can see just people just sending all these gifts and letters. Like, I love you. You're so pretty. You really inspire me. You know, it's quite sweet. So then she's also going to get lunch with Camilla, and they go to this place called Menage a Trois. And Camilla is so fucking bitchy to her. She's like, oh, you don't know what Charles likes? Well, that's really silly of you because you're getting married. Charles loves this, and he loves that. And he and I, we were just so close, you know. You would never understand our relationship.
Oh, God.
It's horrible. And then he finds a bracelet that he sent to her. A design for a bracelet that said Fred and Gladys, which is their nickname for each other.
Oh.
He just sent this to her. Like, on tour. He comes back from his tour, and he comes back a day earlier than he told Diana, and he goes to Camilla the day before first. Isn't that bad?
Super bad.
Super bad. Also, she's constantly trying to get in touch with somebody. She's trying to call anyone in the royal family, the queen. She's like, I need friends. Like, I need to spend time with this family to get to know them. They don't do that. They're not like, they just don't like want to do that. So they're just like, whatever, you're alone. She doesn't have anybody to support her.
Don't you just want to be alone?
I don't know what they expect her to do, but anyway, they don't understand her at all. She literally.
So Fred and Gladys were the nicknames for Charles and Camilla?
For each other, yes.
Oh, okay. But this bracelet was actually sent to Diana.
No, she saw the designs for it, like in his office or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So then they're at their rehearsal dinner, which is like the rehearsal of their wedding, which is the first time they've seen each other in literally months.
Yeah.
And she's like, dude, what happened? Like, why did you give this bracelet to Camilla? Are you still in love with her? Our dinner didn't exactly go well.
No.
You know, at one point in the dinner, she's like telling her stuff, and Diana's barely touching her food, you know, because of eating disorder. And then all of a sudden she gets just really pissed, and she just starts scarfing down desserts, like, you know, to throw up later.
Yeah.
And you see it later. No, it's really sad. So she confronts Charles about it, and he says, actually, it was a farewell gift. And I was like, this done now.
To Camilla. That was a farewell gift. Yeah, okay. Try again.
Try again.
You want to
buddy.
try that lie again?
And they're having their little rehearsal, and everybody knows that he's in love with Camilla. Like, look at all of them. They're so concerned. They have this meeting, like, Margot is like, guys, Charles is in love with Camilla.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, too late now.
We're just going to keep pushing on.
They all know. Like, look at their faces. They're like, ugh, yeah. Well,
dear goodness.
He's going to fall in love with her. Look at her. She's so cute, you know? Jeez.
It'll be fine.
They have their wedding day.
Okay.
It happens. I mean, she looks beautiful.
She's so cute.
Yeah. So It's that. That's what happens.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. They did it. They fucking did it.
Cheers to the happy couple.
Thatcher's son gets lost in this car race thing he's doing. Like across like a, it's like a car race through the Middle East or something. He gets
like
lost.
A car marathon.
Yeah, car marathon. Yeah. Which is really expensive,
And so much gas.
Yeah, anyway, so he's doing that, but he's missing. So they don't know where he went. And he's like missing in the desert somewhere, and they have to go find him. So they spend literally like all this fucking British money to go find him. And she cries in front of the Queen. And also there is the British Argentinian situation going on in the Falklands.
Ooh,
which
okay.
the Argentinians are like, this is our land. And the British are like, we own this island. Okay.
Seems to happen a lot.
And then, so the Queen asks Martin to plan all the private meetings with their children, because one thing happened where Thatcher was like, my favorite child is missing.
Oh.
She has twins. She has a son and a daughter.
Oh.
And the son is missing. And she's like, my favorite child. And then the Queen brings it up with Philip later. And she's like, Thatcher said something really weird. Why did she say my favorite child? Who would say that? And then Philip's like, well, we all have favorites. Like, mine is Anne. And yours. And she's like, I don't know who mine is. And he goes, it's pretty obvious who yours is. And she's like, well, now I got to figure it out. So then she has meetings with all of her kids to figure out who her favorite kid is.
What?
It's clearly not Charles.
Because everyone hates Charles.
Everybody hates Charles. Okay. First is Edward. This is Edward. He's head boy at his school. He
looks like a head boy. He looks like a huge dork.
He's a huge dork. He's complaining about the other boys in his class. His mom's like, maybe you should be a little nicer to them and they won't bully you. He's horrible. Then it's Anne, and she goes out riding, and she just complains to her mother the entire time about her marriage. She's like, I hate him so much.
Who's Anne married to?
She's married to this man, oh God, Richard, I want to say. You don't really see him.
Okay.
He's not really important. It's just like, she hates him.
Okay.
He's also a horse rider.
Also a horse girl.
Yeah, he's also a horse girl. And she's just really sad, and her mom doesn't want to hear this. And all she just says to her is, it'll get better.
No.
Thanks, Mom. Yeah.
Good advice.
It'll pass. Mm-hmm. It was like in that Iron Claw movie when the son was like, I'm really scared, Mom. And then she's like, God will protect you.
Have faith in God, son. That it? All you
all you gotta say?
That's all you gotta say to me?
That's really all you gotta say.
It's like, that's literally like the equivalent of that is like, I'm really scared. Like, just keep breathing.
I know.
Just
keep on. But even then, it's like, what are you supposed to do? But still, it's not that's not helpful.
It's not,
okay.
Yeah. It's not comforting.
Then she's got, Thatcher's son is found, by the way.
Oh, good.
She's extremely, extremely happy about it. She treats him like a little tiny baby child. Like, look at this boy. He's a little baby boy. And he's on the top right here. And then the other daughter, the other twin is there. And she's just watching this happen, and she's like, my sweet boy, here's more food for you. I'm going to make you a beautiful dinner. Because Thatcher, she's the first prime minister woman ever. She cooks for her whole cabinet. Whenever they come over, she's the one who makes dinner.
Oh, wow.
Because she's the housewife. She's the wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. She has a very traditional values.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll expand on that later. Next one is Andrew. This is him. The Queen is so excited for him to come in. He flies in on a helicopter.
Oh.
And Andrew is having a conversation with her about this movie he saw where there's like this 17-year-old girl that just gets like raped or something like many times. And it's like part of art, it's an art film. And he's obsessed with it. It's, I think, a little on the nose the way they bring this up because Andrew becomes somebody who is best friends with Epstein, who goes to his island and his house in New York all the time.
Ooh.
And Epstein, famously trafficked young girls.
Yeah.
And it's very, I think the way they did in The Crown was too on the nose. They really shouldn't have been like, I'm obsessed with this like predatory movie.
Yeah.
From like the 80s or whatever, the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, really?
Okay, we get it.
So also what I found out recently about Andrew is that he has a bunch of stuffed animals that, so I watched the show Girls Five Eva, and they have like a little bit at the end of the last season where they're like making fun of him for having all these stuffed animals with all these different names.
Okay.
And they don't show that in The Crown, but like, I was like, oh, this is probably just a silly bit that they're doing on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, Andrew, so I watched another movie about this interview that they have about Epstein and everything that came out pretty recently on Netflix. And that also had Gillian Anderson in it.
Oh.
And she interviews him about it, but they also have kind of his like home life. And he has like, I guess in a way it would be like perpetual childhood, like he just think he's always like a child, you know what I mean? Like Arrested Development situation.
Mm-hmm.
And he has like thousands of stuffed animals, and they all have very specific names.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to be arranged very specifically on a bed, or he'll get really, really upset.
Oh.
And I think that's like real. It's real.
Yeah.
So
that Andrew has.
Yeah, Andrew.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
So maybe also kind of like an OCD type of thing?
Yeah, it's just like, whatever quirk that he developed because he's in this terrible family that just doesn't have enough love to go around.
No.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay. So then Thatcher wants to go down to the Falklands. She's like, we got to defend this. They're intruding on our space. And everybody in the cabinet and everybody's like, are you sure? Like, we should just figure this out here. Or like, I know that you say that we should defend our space, but there's just a few islands and they're in South America.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange. And Thatcher's like, no, we're going to do it. And then she tells her daughter that she thinks she's stupid and that boys are way better than girls. And that women are just meant for nothing.
Okay.
And it's crazy because Thatcher, like, obviously is the fucking prime minister.
I know. How could she think that?
She has, like, totally backward values. She keeps bringing up her father because, like, her father's, like, a grocer or something. And he was, like, a hardworking man, taught me everything I need to know. But, like, she kind of sees herself as a man in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, still as a woman, like, being a domestic wife and everything. But, like, she's like, women shouldn't be in politics. Like, she literally says that to the Queen. She's like, they're stupid. They don't deserve to be in politics.
That's so weird.
Isn't that weird?
That's weird.
It's so strange. I mean, it's just like, she's a very interesting lady. Okay. Diana is pregnant, but when Queen goes to visit, she does not come down because she's depressed.
Yeah.
And because she hates her husband because he fucking sucks.
Yeah.
She loves him, but he doesn't give her the love that she wants,
Yeah.
And Diana's withdrawn, and then he's still talking to Camilla every single day. She's only 12 minutes away from him by car.
Ooh,
they live in the same neighborhood.
That's not
it's
good.
no good.
That's not good.
And the Queen, he takes her around and he shows her the gardens that he's building, and the Queen's like, oh, they're so nice, Charles.
Oh, great job, John.
Yeah. Queen summons her mom and her sister to reassure her if she's a bad mom. She's like, did I fuck up my kids? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
And then the Falkland fleet is going.
Okay.
The whole Navy's like going down to the Falklands. Takes like 2 weeks to get there.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Go defend those islands.
Yeah. Okay. This episode is all about this guy named Fagin. He's just a working class dude, but he doesn't really have a job right now. So he keeps going to the unemployment office constantly to get his welfare check. He is divorced and he just wants to see his kids, but every time he goes to try and see them, he has an altercation with the stepdad that is with his wife at this point. And so it's just kind of a mess, and he gets beat up a lot. He's just really a sad guy. He goes to his MP and he's like, this state of this country is really sad right now. You're not helping people like me enough. I'm having a really hard time getting a job. I could really use more social services and stuff like that. And the guy's like, well, you should just tell the Queen because I can't do anything about that.
Okay.
So he's like walking back from work one day, or not work, like he's just walking around. Rides the bus. He sees Buckingham Palace and he's like, I think I'm going to break in there.
What?
He climbs the fence.
Break in?
Yeah, he climbs the fence very easily, and he goes into this like door that's just open, and he gets inside. And the Queen is not there, but he just kind of walks around the rooms because generally there's nothing going on in there. It's nighttime, so like there's no servants around really. It's like there's a lot of corridors and hallways that are kind of half lit at this time of the night.
Yeah.
He goes into like the storeroom and drinks some wine.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Just having a good time.
Yeah, he's just having a good time, and then he leaves, but he doesn't get caught. But he did get seen by like one lady, and she screamed, and then he ran away.
Okay.
Martin tells the queen about this, and they're like, let's not tell the prime minister. Let's not tell them, because they're going to get really intense about our security, and we don't really need to do that. It's fine. Like, she's like, I don't want them to get all huffy about this.
Okay.
He's just one guy. It's fine. He's probably not going to come back, right?
Sure.
No, he comes back. He came back. And he sneaks in early in the morning. He goes into the queen's bedroom. Yeah. And he's like, hey, don't get scared. I'm not going to hurt you. And she's like, oh my God, like, what are you doing in here? And he's like, I hurt my hand coming in because I had to break a window this time. Do you mind if I just like go fix it up in the bathroom? And she's like, okay. And then so like he just like wraps his hand up and he goes and sits down. And she sits down with him because she kind of realizes he's not going to hurt her. And he just, she's really afraid, but she talks to him. She talks to him for like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
About the state of the country. He's like, listen, Thatcher's ruining everything. We don't have any money and none of it's coming to us. Like, it's really bad and you need to be doing something about this. Mm-hmm. Like, it's legit. Like, I really do care about people like me. Like, he really does have actually, like, he's very articulate. It's like, it's not like he's like, he gives her specific examples about what to do.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. And then the security people come and they come to take him away and she shakes his hand at the end.
Okay.
She's really shaken up about this, obviously, but
yeah.
It is a pretty great
It's almost kind of like that blogger who was critiquing her in the previous season.
It's very similar to the blogger,
or whatever you said. The article, the journalist.
The blogger.
I don't know why I said blogger. that wasn't around at that time. the journalist.
Yeah, it is kind of similar to that. Okay. This episode is about Charles and Diana going to Australia. They've had they've had William now.
Okay.
He's a little baby. They also Australia's kind of thinking they want to get rid of the Queen. They're like, we need to break away from the UK. They're their own country, but they also just like are like, we need to just get away from the Commonwealth. We need to be our own thing, right?
Okay.
But it's kind of half and half. It's kind of the same way with Scotland, where they had to vote about it and they voted to stay.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Because they do get some protections from the UK if they're part of the Commonwealth.
Right.
So, and Charles thinks that like she's weak. Like he thinks that Diana is a weak lady, and she just is like he does not like being with her because she's a little bit annoying to him, and she really, really cares about the baby. You know, Charles and Camilla have like this scenes like with their friends, and the two of them like say a joke together, and it's just the two of them are just they really do have like a rapport. They're very much good for each other.
Yeah.
And it's very, very clear that he does not want to spend time with his wife and he wants to be with Camilla instead.
Right.
They are absolutely obsessed with each other. And so they were supposed to not even bring the baby. And Diana's like, we have to bring William. I cannot be away from him for 6 weeks. It's like she like insists that the baby comes with them on the trip, right?
Okay.
Because previously, the Queen would leave on tour and she wouldn't bring her kids.
Yeah.
For months.
And just not see them.
Yeah,
wow.
As babies, as little children.
Yeah.
So anyway, they go through Australia. It's actually a really great episode. They are literally just going around. She's very, very devoted to her child. And at one point, they need to be away from him for like a week. And she can't even handle that.
Oh,
they have to go back. Yeah. Like she can't even handle it at all. He's her everything. She doesn't have anything else.
He's her one source of comfort.
Yes. Absolutely.
And stability.
Yes.
And purpose.
It's absolutely, it's actually like the only thing she lives for, truly.
Yeah.
Is her son. Diana is confronting Charles and he's just being a little fucking bitch to her all the fucking time. It's so annoying. And he's like, I don't even know how to make you happy. And she goes, I don't know how to make you happy. And then they're like, well, we have to try to make each other happy. Okay.
Because we don't know each other.
They just don't connect. They just don't connect. Like, they just shouldn't be together. That's the answer. She is in love with him, but like in love with a version that doesn't exist. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense. And then at this point they have a little truce and they actually kiss and they have like a little moment where he says he loves her, but it's not true. Like, I don't believe this man, but he does say that. So then they have actually good times in Australia, but lasts about 5 minutes because, you know, he gets a little bit, jealous of her because she's really, really popular and everybody hates Charles. Even the Australians. They call him like big ears and stuff.
Big ears.
Yeah. Okay. It's not nice.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're like doing all these different things. Everybody just cares about Diana.
Yeah.
They're obsessed with Diana because she's so glamorous.
Yeah.
And she's so pretty and she's so sweet. And, you know, they have a good time, but it just kind of gets bad by the end. It's very, very brief. Amount of time that they're happy.
Oh, well.
They go to the president's house to see him as well.
Oh.
And then Australia loves them now. So they're not going to break away because of how successful Diana made them keep Australia. But of course the Queen doesn't care.
That Diana did this for them.
Yeah. So fucking ridiculous. The Queen is also a little bit jealous of Diana's popularity. Everybody's jealous of her because she's so fucking popular.
Yeah.
So then she goes and tells the Queen that her marriage is terrible, and she hugs the Queen, and she's like, what the fuck?
Queen's like, don't hug me.
And then all the women in the family, of course, instead of telling this to Diana and like having an actual conversation with her, they talk amongst themselves, and they're like, you know, if she doesn't bend, she's gonna break. Like, this is not for the weak, this family.
Yeah.
And like, it's not. All of the people who marry into this family are like,
messed up.
They're
messed
like,
up.
No one supports you.
No.
You have to be on your own at all times.
Yeah.
And they know that Diana has bulimia. Like, they found out about this, and they're all like, well, why? Why is she like this? She needs to figure that out.
Great.
Ugh.
Figure your shit out, Diana, because we're not going to help you.
No, it's really bad. So this episode is all about Margaret. She has this best friend, and she tries to kiss him, and he's like, I'm gay, sorry. And I'm also going to join the seminary. So.
Oh, okay. Double whammy.
Double whammy.
Double whammy.
You can't have me, sorry. So she gets a little bit upset about that. And she also has to have surgery. So you see these women in this mental institution at the beginning of the episode and throughout the episode, on the right, who are just these ladies who live there, and they have pictures of Margaret and the Queen around, and you're like, oh, what do they have to do with anything? Then there's Edward's 21st birthday. They all give speeches. It's very cute. They play around. It seems like everybody's actually like happy at this point. It's kind of like a cute little scene, so I put some pictures of it.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah. And then Margaret's like, at that party, she tells her sister, I would like to have more royal duties. I actually think I could really step in and do some more royal engagements. And then her sister's like, and then the Queen's like, actually, because Edward's 21 now, he's in the like direct 5 people that can do stuff for me, and you're kicked out. Like, he's the royal succession. Like, now because he is of age, you have to get kicked out of being in our special little circle of succession. She used to be number 2. And she got demoted. Every time somebody has a baby, it's like the next one, you know?
Oh man. So she's out of the fave five.
She's out of the best friends list on MySpace.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's like that.
Oh.
And she's really mad about it. She did not realize this was going to be the case. She was literally like, I really wanted to have some fucking duties around here, and now you're just saying I have less?
Basically can't do anything now.
What is she supposed to do? What is her life? What does she do?
Yeah,
what are they supposed to do? Okay, every time I think, if I was a royal, I would literally just like make art and crafts like all day long. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that would be my dream.
You have to find something.
Yeah, I would like sew, I would just paint, I would, you know, between having to do stuff, I would just like do crafts and stuff all the time.
Yeah, you'd have to like start your own business or something, or like
but you can't.
Oh
no, so like you only have so much freedom. Like you can't start your own business.
Oh God.
Can you give me a tissue, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you cannot actually start your own business. You can't do any of that. But, art is just for art's sake as well. You don't necessarily need to
sell it or do anything with it.
Yeah.
You just at that point have to find your own sense of purpose, and that's really hard with all these limitations.
Yes. There's only a certain amount of things people can be.
Sounds like it really sucks being a royal.
Anyway, yeah. She goes on vacation, to her little home that she has in the tropics. She owns this house that is like in the Caribbean, I think.
Okay.
On an island.
Yeah.
And she's really sad. She goes out there with her friends, and then Charles also visits her, and he says that she should get a therapist.
Okay.
He's been thinking it's actually been helping him.
Oh, he has a therapist?
Yeah.
Okay. That's like the most reasonable thing he's said and done.
I know.
Wow.
The people do contain multitudes, because he is not just a wholly bad person. He's just a little bitch.
Right.
Like, it's like,
even little bitches have some good ideas sometimes.
Absolutely. A broken clock is right twice a day. Okay?
Yes. Completely.
Okay. She finds out that actually her and her sister go through some of the family archives, find out that their cousins that she learns about from her therapist somehow actually are in a mental institution. But they look through like the family archives, and it says that they're dead.
Oh.
And she's like, but they're not, though.
A cover up.
Yeah. So she actually finds out that they're in the institution. She bakes Dazzle Go, which was that guy in the very beginning. She calls him Dazzle. The one who she wanted to sleep with, but then he was like, I'm gay and I'm a priest now.
Oh, the double whammy.
Yeah. So
the Dazzle whammy.
Dazzle whammy. Mm-hmm. The double dazzle.
The double dazzle.
Yeah. She kind of cut things off with him, but then she's like, well, you're a priest now, so you can go into this mental institution just easily. You can just like walk in there because,
Oh, yeah.
And so he goes in there and he's like, technically, I'm not a real priest yet, but I will do this for you.
I mean, no one's going to be checking his credentials.
Cares, okay. And so they go in there. There's these two women. He talks to them, and they tell him that they're the cousins of the Queen and Princess Margaret. They really love Princess Margaret, and that they're actually cousins on their mother's side.
Oh.
So from her side of the family, there's a long line. There's a lot going on with that side of the family, but there is a hereditary situation that goes straight up the women's side of the family, that gives them this affliction. It's kind of like the two sisters have versions of the same gene issue, I think, is something like that, where they are just, they're not quite, they're disabled. They're developmentally disabled because of it. And several people in their family have had it through the centuries. It goes, you can actually like trace it all the way back to like the first person who had it.
Oh, wow.
And like, obviously the genes are recessive, but like they paired with somebody who has the other gene, and then it just keeps going down. Luckily, they don't have to worry about it on their side of the family. The mom, it's actually like her cousins or something, and it went to that side of the family. So it's not an issue for them that it would go to them.
Okay.
It's kind of like an extra, the other branch of the dad's family or something, the mom's family.
It's like a gene over.
Yeah, gene over. Exactly. So it's like fine. Like they're going to be fine. But Margaret's like pissed at her mom because her mom knew about this and she didn't say anything about it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, again, they're covering up family members, people that were just buried in history.
All for their reputation.
Exactly. And she's just like,
they can't have known developmentally disabled people out and about
in their family bloodline.
Yeah.
That looks bad at that point. It's bad.
Yeah.
Because they're royals. Everything about them is about their blood.
Yeah.
Everything. So
their blood can't be seen as tainted.
Exactly. Even though they're not like part of it. So they're okay. But it's just like really, really distressing to Margot. So that's that episode. Then this episode starts off with the Queen's 21st birthday, and also
flashback.
Yeah, little flashback, and you get Clarin, and it's really, really cute. And she is giving her 21st birthday speech around the world while in Africa. It's also mirrored with Margaret Roberts at Oxford. It took me a minute to realize this was supposed to be Margaret Thatcher.
Oh.
Graduating Oxford, the only woman of her class, obviously.
Wow.
Getting a science degree.
Wow.
And so she's a very serious, dedicated lady. The writer, Michael Shea has finished his manuscript, and he's the palace press secretary. He's also a writer. So he brings his manuscript to his editor, and he's like, hey, how's this? And she goes, this is great. You could publish this as a book. But he's the press secretary, so it's kind of like, he probably shouldn't, because, he can't have something other than the crown to do with his life.
Uh-huh.
So the Queen says he tells the Queen she should not comment on how Thatcher is treating South Africa. They're going to talk about apartheid in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to give sanctions to apartheid by making sure that South Africa is cut off from things so that they stop apartheid. Basically, they're going to try to choke it out.
Oh,
that's what their idea is.
Okay, aggressive,
but it does lead to Nelson Mandela being able to become president. So, because it gets overthrown,
right?
Eventually,
okay.
But they go to the Commonwealth of Nations in the Bahamas, and Andrew is also planning his wedding to Sarah Ferguson. Remember Sarah Ferguson, the lady who was in our movie yesterday?
Okay. Yes.
The Queen considered the other. So she talks to Thatcher about the fact that she's like, the Commonwealth is all these men here. They're all the leaders of all the countries in the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth owns technically a lot of countries in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They're a humongous empire still at this point. And they all get together, and she thinks them as equals, like the Queen does, not Thatcher. Thatcher's like a racist. She's like, no, they're part of these countries that have a really low GDP. They suck. And she goes, no, they're the leaders of their countries. It's
you need to respect them.
Yeah, you need to respect them. They care about their people just as much as we do about ours. Okay?
They are a leader just as much as I am a leader.
Yes. So the Queen is very, very respectful of the other world leaders.
Yeah.
And, that's just her take. And she's always been that way.
Yeah.
But Thatcher is like, no, they suck. Like, we are the most important one. And she goes, no, we're all important. Anyway, they're trying to figure out how they can have the sanctions on South Africa. They all have to write this document together and do it all together. And Thatcher won't approve it until they get this jargon right. There's like a word here that instead of the word sanctions, they just cannot figure it out. She keeps going, no, 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 no. Shea keeps helping. She enlists Michael Shea. She's like, here, you're a writer. You can help us figure out what word to use. Eventually, they do settle with signals. It's like,
okay.
The jargon needs to be right.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, Thatcher's like, that can be construed as either being like, yes, you can, we're going to take away your money or your trading opportunities, or no, we can take your trading opportunities away. They do find out that she's like, it can point in different directions. That's what that means to her. So she accepts it. And then the Queen is like, I really don't like Thatcher's way about things right now. I need to say something in the press. I need to leak something to the press. And then Martin and O'Shea are like, no, that is a bad idea. Remember, you don't say anything. You're not a political figure. You should not say anything against the prime minister. That looks very, very bad.
Mm-hmm,
No one has ever done this before. You cannot do that, right?
Yeah.
She's like, I'm going to do it. I'm really, really pissed. Like, this situation was very bad, and I hate her now. Okay? Well, her politics. And so Shay's like, I'm telling you, he tells Martin, he goes, I just want it to be noted and written down right now that I said this is a bad idea. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to blow up in their face. The Times ran the piece. It's very clear the queen feels this way. And everybody's like, oh my God. Like, they say it was an informant in like the royal household, but like everybody knows it came directly from the queen. So it's very, very awkward. And like Thatcher's like, fuck. Like, what the fuck? Like, look at her. And she meets with the queen and it's very, very awkward. Oh, look, there's the Dick's blimp.
Oh, there it is.
Okay. So because this is in the newspaper, that's what everybody's talking about instead of actually Andrew's wedding. So okay, the kids are like, this was supposed to be our day, right? And Charles calls his siblings fringe members of the royal family, and Edward says it was an impressively cunty thing to say.
Wow.
It's honestly so funny. It's like you don't expect him to say that about Charles, and it's great.
Oh my God.
It's like such a good scene. Anyway, they're just being little bitches. All of them are always like, Mom, you know, but it was really stupid of her to do that. And also, you find out that Thatcher's son is working in South Africa. So she didn't want to impose the sanctions because her son is directly benefiting from apartheid right now.
Oh.
Like working in South Africa because he's a white boy and she loves him more than anything in the world.
Yep.
It's just... So anyway, it's ridiculous. And then, of course, it blows up on their face. Martin Charteris goes into Shay's room and he's like, into his office and he goes, you gotta leave, buddy. This was your fault.
Oh.
And Shay's like, what? It wasn't Shay's fault, but he did let this happen. And then it's just like...
But at what point can you keep saying no to the queen?
You can't. He knew this was the end for him. Yeah. And so he got thrown under the bus and that happened. But his writing career was actually super successful. He wrote political thrillers.
Ooh.
And in 1994, Mandela took over apartheid after it fell, and he said the sanctions no doubt helped. So.
Okay.
It was good. Episode 9, Avalanche. This is the breakdown of the Charles and Diana relationship. They go to the ballet and Diana is totally stealing the spotlight because she surprises him by going up on stage and doing a rendition of Uptown Girl and doing a dance, which everybody loves.
Yeah.
But Charles is like, Diana!
Oh, gosh.
I hate making a big thing. You're always making it all about you. This was not for me. This was for you.
Oh, gosh.
Instead of, if I did that, it would have been delightful. Like, if I just had, like, all of a sudden we went to the ballet, I left for a few minutes and then I showed up on stage, Danny would be ecstatic. Mm-hmm. Like, it would be hilarious and awesome, right?
Yeah.
No.
Because she's making a spectacle of herself.
She's making a spectacle of herself, yes. She does like some attention, but that's the thing. He's always like, you're always craving attention. And it's like, what the fuck's wrong with that? It's horrible.
Oh, no.
And the queen reads about it in the newspaper the next day. She goes, oh, it looks like their relationship's getting a little bit better.
Sure.
And she kind of makes a snide comment about the ballerina from before. And also, she has no idea who Billy Joel is. That's what she says.
Billy Joel?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay. Charles and Diana go on a ski trip. There's an avalanche, and then they're missing for a couple days. It's very scary. They find out that they're okay, but their best friend, one of their good friends, dies. And,
no.
It's pretty sad. Charles and Diana go home and talk to Anne says their relationship is not working. Charles is still in love with Camilla, and also Diana has a bunch of suitors. She has a bunch of guys that have been coming over to her house.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Her husband doesn't ever talk to her.
Yeah.
So like she's like really lonely. So she has like all these boyfriends, including this one that's like in the military. He's like a military dude.
Ooh.
And the queen asked them over, and they have this little. They just appease the queen. She's like, "Well, it's been bad, but I vowed to make it better."
Great.
And then Charles is about to say that he wants to be with Camilla, and then all of a sudden, he doesn't get a chance to because his mom's like, "Well, that's settled. Okay."
Glad everything's good then.
Everything's great. You're going to figure out your marriage, right? You're going to figure it out.
Oh, God.
It's just so bad. And then, of course, Charles is allowed to have sex with whoever he wants, aka Camilla. But every time, because they did this, Diana is like going to be under the fire if she does anything, right?
Yeah.
Because she's like, I'm going to be a good wife, and then it's just like, you're not going to be a good wife if they catch you having an affair.
Yeah.
Oh, so bad. And of course, Charles. Sorry. Charles can do whatever he fucking wants.
Yeah, because it's a fucking double standard.
Yeah, it's a double standard. They have an anniversary at their house, and they, have a really great time with their kids. And, Charles acts like he's having a good time, but then he's like, oh, I just want to really be with Camilla. They give each other presents. He gives her like a first edition of like a genealogy book. She doesn't give a shit about that. And then she gives him a videotape of her singing Phantom of the Opera.
Oh,
which is cute.
That's cute.
But she sits
but he
there.
Hates it.
Yeah, he fucking hates it.
Oh,
because he's like, this is not. It's like,
stop giving me presents about you. I don't want to see your face.
Yeah. He hates it, and he tells Camilla later. He's like, God, it was awful. She made me sit there and watch the whole thing.
Oh. What an asshole.
He's such a fucking asshole.
Oh.
He goes, Anne is like, you're being a little bitch.
Good. Tell him.
Yeah, but of course he doesn't fucking listen. And nobody wants him to get divorced. It's not good. Like, they should not be getting divorced. He's the Prince of Wales. Like, he's going to be the king.
And the people love Diana. So them getting a divorce will make people mad at him even more than they already are.
Yeah, it's going to make him look worse.
Oh, God.
He tells Camilla in a car, he's like, would you marry me if you could? Like, will you break up with your husband? And she goes, I would. I would marry
Don't give him those hopes.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be stupid.
Yeah. So
don't give him hope.
Then it's just back to the way they were before. And like nothing actually changed. Charles does not even answer like any of Diana's phone calls to actually talk to each other.
Oh, gosh.
Diana gets back with the army guy. And of course, it makes her look bad immediately.
Yeah.
Of course. Okay. Episode 10, Thatcher's own member of, like, her cabinet denounces her in court, like, right in front of everybody.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's bad. Messy. Charles goes to Mummy about Diana's infidelity, and he's being a fucking little bitch. Charles and Diana are doing a formal separation. It's they can't be together anymore.
Yeah.
Thatcher's entire cabinet wants her to stand down. Everybody's like, you gotta go. She goes to the Queen. She says, I'm gonna dissolve Parliament. That they're on the brink of war. It's very important right now that we dissolve Parliament because there's a bigger issue at stake right now, which is, I guess, the Falklands War. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not entirely sure, but she's like, it's dire. You have to dissolve Parliament, and the Queen's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
God.
Also, Charles and Diana are not doing hot.
No.
Diana visits the children's. She goes on tour to the U.S. She goes to New York City. She visits the AIDS hospital in Harlem, and she hugs a little kid who has AIDS. Mm-hmm. I actually cried at this scene.
Aww.
It is so fucking sweet. Like, people were not touching people with AIDS at this time. It's the 80s. It's very heavily stigmatized, and literally, like, the Princess of Wales is hugging people and kids with AIDS.
Yeah.
It is remarkable. Yeah. She is a hero. Okay. Oh my God. It's so sweet. And of course, Camilla sees how popular that Diana is because she does this extremely selfless thing. And she's like, actually, like, nobody likes me. Everybody likes her. And if we get married and you do this, like, it's not going to turn out well. And of course, the only thing that Charles gets out of this is Camilla's sad.
Uh-huh.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Okay. So Thatcher gets kicked out by her cabinet.
Nope, there she goes. Okay.
The Queen asks her over, and she actually gives her a medal personally.
Oh.
Which is like not given often.
Yeah.
And she's like, I respect you a lot, even though what happened last episode 2 episodes ago.
Even though you're problematic.
Even though you're really problematic, I actually really respect you because you're the first woman to ever do this. It's a very, very big deal, you know, even though everybody hates you.
We're almost there at the end of season 4.
Charles is really pissed because Diana's grandstanding her Camilla, and he's a little bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have a scene here. So let's see if it will play.
Watching a scene?
It might be better if you watch it on my computer because I don't know if it's gonna work out. I put this together. This is the most educational purposes scene. It's incredible. You have to. This is also kind of trending on TikTok. This sound.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. Okay.
You think we couldn't do that to theatrically hug the wretched and dispossessed and cover ourselves in glory all over the front pages?
I doubt it. You barely find it in yourselves to hug your own.
I hug who I want to. I hug who I love. Particularly when they are affected by the selfishness of others and need cheering up.
Who are you referring to?
Camilla.
Why would I care about her?
Because I care about her! Morning, noon, and night I care about her! And you hurt her. And if you hurt her, you hurt me. Camilla is who I want.
Oh.
That is where my loyalties lie.
Camilla.
That is who my priority is.
Not the mother of your children.
Don't bring the boys into this.
All right. Not the woman you married!
I refuse to be blamed any longer for this grotesque misalliance! I wash my hands of it!
I've heard that sound before.
I know.
That scene.
This is the only clip I'm playing. Property of Netflix. Okay.
That.
You think we couldn't do that?
Sorry. No, not again.
It's truly wild. Isn't it?
I've definitely heard that TikTok sound before. The Camilla's the one I want.
I know.
Camilla's where my priorities lie.
And
that's a fucked up scene.
I know. It's fucked up because she's like, not even the mother of your children, not even the person you married. He's like, it's a grotesque misalliance. Like, oh my God.
That's something a little bitch would say.
I know.
Oh, God.
It's ridiculous. It's not even like, it's like he's so blinded. He just cannot see.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's crazy. Okay. This is the end of the season. This is the end of this cast. It's Christmas. Diana and Charles are keeping up appearances at Balmoral. I think it might be from that movie Spencer, but it also could be, that might be a later part. Like a later Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Charles and Diana are trying to speak to the Queen about their marriage separately. They keep going to her. They're like, we're going to split up. They keep trying to tell her this, and she will not hear it. She's like, she gets so pissed at her own son for saying this. She's like, you should have kept it. Like, it's your fault that this marriage went down the toilet. Like, and then, you know, Diana tries to tell the Queen as well. It doesn't work. Philip meets Diana in her room saying everyone's lost and lonely and irrelevant except for the Queen.
Yeah.
It's like, even, and then it shows like pictures of everyone. It shows Anne, it shows Margot, it shows Queen Mother, it shows him. Like, everyone is number 2. Mm-hmm. Everyone is not as important as her. She is the number 1 bitch, and it's all about her.
Yep. You
know, it's not about you. It's not about Charles. It's like literally just about her all times. So, yeah.
Mm.
And then, this is their last family photo of the cast. Look how cute they are.
Very cute.
Diana, really upset.
This thing is not loading. So I'm just gonna look at yours.
Okay.
It's very cute.
It's very, very, very cute.
Yeah.
So that is season 4. So now we have the awards.
All right.
I'll probably stop sharing it and we'll fix this thing.
Yeah, we'll fix it for next season.
This is the 2021 Emmy Awards. It won so much stuff. I mean,
I see all the winners.
Look at this. There's winners everywhere. Drama series.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Josh O'Connor. Lead actress Olivia Colman. Gillian Anderson. Tobias Menzies. Writing for Peter Morgan. Casting. Directing for Jessica Hobbs. Guest actress for Claire Foy for that one episode.
Wow.
I know. Cinematography and editing. That's all the things that it won. And then it was also nominated for all these things.
Yeah.
It's really, really crazy. Also, at the Golden Globes, it won for Best Drama Series, won for Emma Corrin for Lead Actress. It won for Gillian Anderson for Supporting Actress, Lead Actor Josh O'Connor.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That's great.
This was the most one of all of this season.
Yeah.
Like this one, because like it's because of that scene that I showed you.
That's a really good scene.
It's so good. It's really good. Okay, the 80s were crazy. All right, this one had an average of 8.48. I think it's also one of the highest of all the shows of all the seasons. Terra Nullis was that one that has the highest rating, and that one's the Australia episode.
Okay.
And then there's the lowest ones are 8.2s, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, that is good.
And out of every costume used in the series, Diana's played by Emma Corrin. Wedding dress took the longest to make, unsurprisingly. Production of the dress spanned 4 months, 600 hours of labor, and required 5 fittings.
Wow. I mean, wasn't there another trivia that was about
The Queen's dress.
the Queen's wedding dress?
Yes. Also took forever. This one even took longer.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. The train is incredibly long.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see it in later. But yeah, that's what's going on. I'm just going to stop sharing this real quick. And we can take a little break and I'll sort this out.
Yep. Take a break. See you in season 5.
Okay, we are back. We're in season 5 now.
Woo woo!
It's 1991 to 1997. This is the years, and this was released in 2022.
Ooh, so 2 years later.
Yes. The Queen is Imelda Staunton.
Oh, is that Umbridge?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's great.
Nice.
So this is just an updated royal household here because I got rid of a lot of the upper parts of the household now. They're all dead.
Oh. They're all dead.
You know who's not dead, though? The Queen Mother. She's still kicking.
Really?
Yeah, Marion Bailey, this actress.
Oh my gosh.
Here.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Margaret is there, but she's no longer married to Tony.
Oh no, no longer.
Yeah, because,
That didn't work out so well.
No, it did not. Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip are still going, and of course Prince Charles and Princess Diana, and they have 2 kids, William and Harry. And then this is all the different kids. I didn't put their spouses, but
Okay.
obviously they exist.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, there's some prime ministers. First is John Major, and then Tony Blair at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got Robert Fellows as the private secretary this season. And introducing Dodi Fayed and Mohammed Al Fayed as well.
Okay.
And also there's Camilla Parker Bowles, played by Olivia Williams in this season. And there's a new character here, Penny Natchbull. You'll see her.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, first episode, the Queen Victoria Syndrome. They also have a flashback with Claire Foy in this season. She's opening the Britannia, which is her boat, her yacht, her giant ship, basically.
Oh.
She loves it. It's her very favorite home. I think they discuss it in the very beginning of the episode, like, where's your favorite place? Like, where's your favorite home? Because she owns so many homes.
Yeah.
It's like she's living in various places all the time, but her favorite is the Britannia, the ship. She loves it so much. And there's her and her husband on there.
Yeah.
I love it. She loves this son. She's like, I'm so glamorous. I'm Imelda Staunton.
On my boat.
Yeah. Charles is actually doing pretty good in the polls right now, like above his mom right now.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. I guess everybody doesn't totally hate Charles.
I guess not.
Okay, he is going on a second honeymoon with Diana here. They do play nice together.
Okay.
Because they're separated now, it's kind of a little bit better, but they are going on a honeymoon with their friends on a yacht.
Okay.
So it's pretty fun, I think. Like they're going to the Maldives or something.
Ooh.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And the boys do well. They're also bringing their friends, the Nortons, and their daughter has cancer. They seem to be kind of in a truce. The Queen is just going around doing these hilarious little speeches everywhere, like for intermodal containers at the Wharton Dairies. It's like just ridiculous little things that she has to say. She's like, and I'm really excited for checks notes, like intermodal plastics. It's like,
oh gosh.
but her ship is starting to kind of get old.
Oh no.
Because it's pretty old now.
Not an old ship.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's big too. Anne goes up in the lighthouse with her mother and kind of shows this this new guy that she's interested in down on the land. She's like, I like this guy Tim.
He's a horse girl just like me.
He is a horse girl. Yeah.
She has a type.
But then the vacation is cut short because Charles is being a little bitch.
What else is new?
He misses Camilla for one, and for two, he wants to meet with the prime minister because this article came out that more people like him over the queen. So this was in the Sunday Times, and one of the press people that worked for the queen slyly removes the Sunday Times from the Queen and Anne and everybody seeing it on the breakfast table.
Oh.
And they're like, well, what happened? Like, why don't we have the Sunday Times today? It's like, apparently the secretary's like, he doesn't want him to see it. Like,
yeah, of course not.
He's like, she's going to be in a bad mood if she sees this, so I'm just not even going to show her.
Yeah, she will.
Yeah. The kids go to like some ruins in Greece or something. So Charles and the Queen have confronted the Prime Minister about her oldness. Like both of them talk to him about it. This is John Major. He is so cute. I love him. He's played by Johnny Lee Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Johnny Lee Miller. So like, obviously I'm already going to like this man. Now even Diana is unletting on him. And he's like, what have I gotten myself into here?
Yeah.
Everybody has their own agenda, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Philip has a new hobby and it's kart racing. The friends of Norton's lost their daughter to cancer, so it's really sad. Diana gets a tip that her friend, who's a doctor, this guy on the right, knows a journalist that he trusts that wants to write a book about her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's considering it. There's Philip doing the horse racing with Penny Natchbull, the woman who lost her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
He goes over there for whatever reason and is like, hey, it really sucks to lose a kid. And she just talked to him about it. And it's very cute. They actually form a very nice friendship.
Okay.
You know, he's a lot older than her.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cute. And it is his godson. So it's like, he was going to go over there to talk to his godson, but then he wasn't around and Penny was around. So That's why. And then Diana, she records the tapes for the guy he gave her some questions and she basically just records a bunch of tapes. She talks for hours and hours and that's what he writes the book about.
Right.
The journalist, her friend is like riding his bike on the road and he gets like run off of the road. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And the journalist gets his house ransacked because they wanted to grab the tapes.
Oh.
But I think they didn't get them.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is scary, right?
Yeah.
Who did this?
Who did it?
I don't think we ever find out. But
so it wasn't like the Crown, like trying to keep them from writing this book about her or something?
maybe.
Did I just figure it out?
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know if they don't ever actually find out.
Consider this case solved.
That's a problem. Also, Deanna thinks that they're like tapping her phones. Like she hears like,
They probably are.
Yeah. It's bad. Philip finds out from the Norton's wife that everyone knows about this book written with the princess's permission.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's not really with the princess's permission, but like how else would this guy know all this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And also, Diana does have a network of friends. She's got her like acupuncturist, she's got her therapist, she's got her spiritual advisor, she's got all sorts of people around her that she trusts, right? But they're all working for her, so it's kind of like that's the relationship that they have with her.
Yeah.
But this other friend, I think, is just like a doctor dude, but like I don't know, it's kind of interesting. Philip goes directly to her and asks her to just not rock the boat. He's like, don't do it, Diana.
Yeah.
Does she listen? No. The book is released and it's a sensation. Everybody's obsessed with it. It's like Diana in her own words. It is a very best-selling book.
Ooh.
Okay, this is the best episode of the season. It's called Moo. It's all about Al Fayed. So we're going back in time. This man was born in Egypt, Muhammad Al Fayed. He, we show him as a young man. He's a very enterprising man. He gets married. He has his son Dodi. There also is a flashback to when David and Wallace were younger and they hired this young black man to be their valet. Okay.
Okay.
His name is Sydney.
Okay.
And so there's that. And Dodi got married or Al-Fayed got married and had Dodi, his son. Okay.
Yes.
So Al-Fayed is going to buy the Ritz in Paris. The people who are selling it to him are French, and they're kind of racist.
Of
But
course.
he has a lot of money, and they don't. So money talks.
They want his money.
Yeah. Al-Fayed sees his future wife at the Ritz party that they have after the opening, and it's just this Finnish lady. He's obsessed with Britain, and he's obsessed with, like, you know, Aryan features, like light skin, light eyes. Like, his wife is, like, blonde, blue eyes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so after this, at that party, he sees Sydney serving. You know, Sydney works at the Ritz. It's actually after David died, so he needed to get another job.
Oh, okay.
And he's an older black man now, as you can see. He had needed a job, so he works at the Ritz. And Al-Fayed sees him, and he's racist, so he's like, "Get that guy out of here, Dodi. Go tell that guy he doesn't have a job anymore."
Whoa.
Yeah, but then Dodi tells his father, he's like, "That was the valet to David, like that was the valet to the king."
Yeah.
Which is like a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so then Al-Fayed's like, "Oh, have that guy back in my office the next day," right?
Okay.
He's like, "I'm going to give you a job. You're going to teach me everything about what it takes to be a British gentleman. I want to know everything. The way they dress, the way they speak, what terms they use, like everything." Because Sydney knows everything. He was taught by David.
Right.
Everything he needs to know, right?
Right.
And Sydney loved David too, so like he had a really close relationship with him as well.
Okay.
So he was very sad when he died.
Yeah.
Okay. Dodi just wants to make his dad happy, but he also wants to finance a movie, which is Chariots of Fire. It ended up winning the Oscar that year.
We gotta watch this movie.
Yeah, we do. Oh, yeah, we do. But of course, Al-Fayed's like, that's still not enough for him.
No.
Even though his son's film won an Oscar. He had a, you know, like in the thank you speech, they say Muhammad and Dodi Al-Fayed, like, thank you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that crazy? Okay. Then he's obsessed with getting close to the Queen. He sponsors a polo match or something and is like the highest sponsor. So he thinks he's going to be able to sit next to the Queen.
Oh.
But it turns out he doesn't.
No.
It's bad.
It's not how that works.
No, it's not. He's like, I just want to get close to her so that we can like have a relationship.
I mean, he saw the back of her head. That's the closest a lot of people get.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't get.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's pretty close.
Yeah. Wallace died. And everybody goes to her, like a small group of people go to her funeral. And Al-Fayed buys her house in Paris so he can restore it. But it also has tons of Wallace's prized possessions and David's prized possessions that belong to the Queen, really.
Yeah.
But some of them don't. So, like, he doesn't actually need to give him, you know, very famous artworks exist in this house and some stuff that the Queen has literally forgotten about, but her private secretary is like, this is there and this is there. Boy with Apple is there. You know what I mean?
Boy with Apple? Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like,
the Mona Lisa.
you're going to want this, right? And like, so she's like, well, maybe we should go get it. So that's why Al-Fayed's like, the Queen's going to come herself and get this. She doesn't come herself. The private secretary comes and gets the stuff. And so Al-Fayed's like, ugh. But now they're like, well, maybe we should kind of pay attention to him a little bit because he's the one who like gave us all the stuff and he didn't have to because he bought the house and he restored it. It was in disrepair. Okay, then he's going to the horse races again. He thought, I paid a lot of money for this and I gave the Queen back her prized possessions. She has to sit next to me, right? The Queen's over there. Her sister comes in. She's like, oh, I really want to sit with my sister instead. So then she goes to sit with her sister.
So she was going to sit next to him?
Yes.
But then she was like, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was like, do you think maybe I could go sit with Margaret instead? And then, like, even though Al-Fayed paid a lot to sit next to her.
That's pretty fucked up.
It's well, yeah. So
I mean, the Queen could do whatever she wants, but, like, it's a little fucked up.
It's her sister and Portia are there, and you know how she feels about Portia. So it's like, whatever. But then they're like, put Diana over there instead. Diana goes and sits down. She's charming as fuck. It's Diana.
Yeah.
She's also played by Elizabeth Debicki.
Gorgeous.
Oh my God. This woman is a sensation. I love this woman. Anyway, she goes and sits down next to Moo Moo. Like he says, call me Moo Moo.
Adorable.
It's so sweet. And they have a little relationship, right? He now gets it in his head. Oh, like I should go this route because she's the way to get into the family. That's his move.
Go what route?
I think his goal is to actually marry into the royal family.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude.
I thought he just wanted an audience. Like just to be friends.
No.
Oh, he wants to be in the family.
He wants to be in the British royal family. That
is his my god. I mean, man, goals.
It's a major goal. And he has a lot of money.
Yeah. He could probably do it, maybe, possibly.
What's the way he's gonna go about it? Who knows?
Oh, God.
Okay. And that's also where she meets Dodie for the first time. He's like there tending to the horses or something.
Horse girl.
So this is like an episode about just the worst year of the Queen's life. It starts off with Margot doing a little radio show where she's just showing all of her favorite songs. And she kind of talks about her old loves that she had, and it's just kind of like a sweet thing. And her old love is watching this, Townsend. That's him as an old man.
That's not Timothy Dalton, is it?
It is Timothy Dalton.
It's Timothy! Wow, okay.
Yeah, good job there. Yeah.
Oh, Townsend.
So she's kind of musing about it, and she actually notices that he sent her a letter, and he's going to be at the Caledonian Club later that week.
Oh.
So she's going to see him there.
Okay, rekindle some feelings? Maybe?
Yeah.
A little bit? Okay.
So Andrew meets up with his mom about his marriage, and apparently Sarah Ferguson cheated on him with his man because Andrew sucks at being a husband.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's also not the best, and again, remember, he's a pedophile. So he's not a good person. They do have 2 daughters together. But again, like Sarah Ferguson is also kind of like she's a funny lady. I don't know if you could tell from the movie that we watched yesterday.
Who was she in the movie we watched yesterday?
So we watched this horrendous movie called American in Austin on Hallmark Channel. Do not recommend. Watch Lost in Austin instead. Yeah. But it had Sarah Ferguson in it. She was like that little random Duchess lady that made that speech with the red hair and the too much makeup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's her.
Okay.
She also like has written children's books and stuff because she's not a royal anymore because they got divorced. But like, she's people still know who she is. She's a celebrity, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she cheated on him, and in the tabloids they caught a shot of her. This guy sucking on her toes. Isn't that great?
Ah! That's pretty great.
It's great.
That's pretty awesome.
Okay, all right. Then they go to that little party at the Caledonian Club. Anna's there, and she tells her aunt that she's really happily in love with Tim. Like, look at her. She's so happy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's pretty sad because Margot is seeing her old love for the first time in like 30 or something years. I don't know how many years. 40 years. I don't know. Really long time ago.
Many.
And he's a lot older than her as well. Remember, they had an age gap, so it was just a little bit depressing, and then they planned to meet up later. Then the Queen, Anne confronts her mother about marrying Tim. She's like, I want a divorce and I want to marry Tim. It's just, I even think she might have been divorced at this time. She's like, I want to marry Tim. I don't care what you say, I'm going to do it. Yeah. Whatever. The Queen's like, okay, whatever. And Charles wants to formally separate from Diana. And now there's a bad fire at Windsor Castle.
I thought they already separated.
Well, like formally separate.
Oh, they only like
they have to tell
they only
everybody.
like subtly separated.
Yes.
And now they want to formally separate.
Now they're like, we have to tell everybody they were separating. It's different than divorce, though.
Okay.
That's a different thing. They're like, they have to literally go to the press and be like, we are having time apart.
Yeah.
Which is kind of strange, but that's what they're doing. And there's this massive fire at Windsor Castle. Remember we went there?
We went to Windsor.
Yes, there was a massive fire and they lost tons of stuff.
Oh, no.
It's very, very sad.
Yeah. Okay.
Everybody's just angry and sad.
Yeah.
Okay, like
that's sad.
It's a very sad episode.
Yeah.
Peter tells Margot that he's dying.
Ah!
Isn't it sad?
Oh, no.
They could have had time together.
They could have.
I mean, he ended up having a nice relationship with his wife, and they had kids together.
Yeah.
you know, it's just like, it just was something that didn't happen. So you're
No.
like looking back on it. And of course, Marco was like, girl, remember when you did this to me and how fucked up that was?
Yep.
And now he's dying. I could have had all this time with him.
Yep.
And she's really mad because Anne is marrying Tim. And like, it's no different than what happened with her.
Yeah.
It's like even like the same position that Tim is.
Yeah.
And it's just upsetting to her. She's
Yeah.
like, I'm the one. This could have happened to me. I could have done this.
Yeah.
I could have been happy, like Anne is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty sad. And the queen has to make like an apology. She wants to make an apology speech, and her mom's like, "Don't say you're sorry for your misdeeds and everything. That's ridiculous. You're perfect." But she does it anyway.
Okay.
She goes in front of like this huge, massive group of people and just says like, "I've really failed in a lot of ways as a mother and as a leader."
Oh, okay.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah. And it's acknowledging the sacrifices of her family and directly references her sister.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Episode 5, The Way Ahead. So there is a call between Camilla and Charles that happens like in the early 80s where, or it's like late 80s, I don't know. It happens and this guy on a ham radio picks it up and records it. It is so, it's like silly because it's a very cute, intimate conversation
Yeah.
between them. At one point, he says something like, "It's not. This is very out of context." But he says something like, "I'm jealous of your tampons because they get to like be in your vagina."
Oh.
It's not exactly that explicit, but they're just joking. They're
Okay.
they're conversating like people who are in love conversate.
Sure.
And it's a very sweet conversation, but it's obviously insane that he would say something like that. It's like you're joking with your best friend about stuff, right?
Sure.
And they end up he brings that up and they're talking about it. It's very silly. But okay, so then this guy owns the recording. He takes it to one of the tabloid magazines and they hold on to it. They're like, let's just pay this man so he doesn't go somewhere else, and they release it immediately. And this is a big deal. Like, we can't just release this. We have to wait for the right time.
Oh.
So it's really bad.
Yeah.
There's telephone interference and someone records their Charles and Anne are actually getting the formal separation. It's actually fucking happening. Then this is the first of many family meetings. This next 2 seasons is just family meeting, future of the monarchy. All the time. They're like the way forward meeting.
Yeah.
They meet with the press. They meet with their private secretaries and everything just to see how they're going to continue with their lives. Like, because people don't like the monarchy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Charles is like, we need to move. We need to be progressive. Things need to be, we need to be with the times.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's saying all the time. He's like, we need to reduce spending. We need to do this. Like, he's got a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
And even the Queen's like, okay, Charles. The newspaper's going to publish a recording now, and everybody takes it very badly. Charles is like, well, I got to do this interview with this guy named Jonathan Dimbleby. He records Charles at his own house.
What was the other name you had told me earlier in the show?
Yeah, it was
Salisbury or something.
Bobbity Salisbury.
Oh my god!
I just had to put these names in. They're insane.
Dimbleby.
Okay. Anyway, Charles is going to make an intimate documentary with him. So he gets him into his house and he actually gets interviewed, and he has to address his relationship live on TV. Like, the guy asks him point blank, like, "Are you in a relationship with Camilla?" Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
And then he literally doesn't deny it. And you can watch this online. I watched a little bit of it. He's like, "Camilla is a very dear friend of mine.
Uh-huh.
She's very important to me." That's what he says.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, like, he isn't really addressing, but like, he's like, but he's like hanging out with his sons and stuff. Like, it shows him being a good dad and stuff. But it doesn't really turn out well. This is the night that it airs. Diana wears her revenge dress.
Hell yeah.
Like, it is an iconic dress.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sexy. And Charles and Anne, Charles does comment about being a defender of all the faiths and not just the Church of England.
Okay.
Which is, again, he's the head of the Church of England. So it's kind of odd that
Ooh.
he would say something like that, but he's going with the times.
Yeah.
So, and then Charles and Anne have a close relationship, and she's a little disappointed with his outright attitude about everything.
Uh-huh.
And then she eats a fucking asparagus like that.
Like what? Oh,
I
okay.
don't know how else to describe it. It's insane.
Oh, she's holding it like this.
like a stick.
Like almost like she's about to take a drink from a straw.
Of a straw, but like she opens her mouth way too big, and it's so funny, and I'm so glad I got this picture.
Oh gosh.
And then Charles has his own court of people, similar to the way it was. He started to really set it up so that he's just going to surround himself with yes men.
Mm-hmm.
He's already started to do this, but this is like his time to do that. He also has this great young people's trust fund where he gives them money. He like is a charity with working with kids of the city, you know, and they're like, he gives them opportunities, and it's still running today, and it's given like millions of kids opportunities that they wouldn't have had. And at one point he goes to one of their parties and he break dances with them, and it's honestly kind of cute.
Okay.
Because it's the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
And breakdancing was a pretty fun thing to do.
Yeah. So this episode's called The Patiev House. This is the Philip episode. There's a flashback to World War One. The Russian royal family is related directly to the British royal family just by cousins. They're cousins. The King of England here with the parrot on his shoulder gets a message from his cousin, the King of Russia, that he wants to leave with his family because they're having a Russian revolution and they're gonna die.
Oh yeah.
So it's bad. They're like, please, can we come over? And then Queen Mary, for some reason, is like, no, that's a really bad idea. They shouldn't come.
Oh.
So
do they die?
they sure do.
Oh.
They get all shot
Oh my gosh.
at once and stabbed with bayonets and buried in shallow graves. Very horrific. And
Oh my
you
gosh.
do watch this scene as well.
Oh.
So many years later in the 90s, they do find their bodies on that property. That's kind of what this episode's about. There's the prime minister again, John Major. Yeltsin is letting in Western leaders, and there's scenes of destruction coming from Russia. It's not doing well, but Yeltsin is like a new leader, and he invites, for the first time, he invites a British person in.
Oh.
A British prime minister,
Mhm.
and he just drinks him under the table. It's
Oh,
crazy.
gosh.
He's like drunk the entire time. It's wild.
Oh.
And he's telling the queen about it. Philip is going off and doing kind of like his own thing with his horse carriage riding hobby. He's
Mhm.
obsessed with it. He brings Penny everywhere with him because she likes it now too. Because
Yeah.
he got her into it.
Yeah.
And she had an old carriage as well that they restored together.
Oh.
So they have like a little cute thing, but he's just going off and impressing people because he's just nonstop. He loves it.
Yeah.
So then they invite Boris Yeltsin over to Buckingham Palace.
Mm.
And they have to talk with the translator, and the queen's like, why don't you give the people at a Patiev house a proper burial, please? Because they're my family and that's what they deserve.
Mhm.
And he's like, all right, I'll look into it for you. And he says, so they all are standing in this group photo. He's conversing in Russian with his people, and he's like, it's actually the queen's family's fault that they all died anyway because they didn't
bring him
invite
over.
them over, right? So it's kind of bitchy, but and he doesn't like her. He says something really mean in Russian because that man does not look friendly.
No.
They found the bodies, and it turns out that they're doused in acid. So the only way to figure out if a couple of them are actually part of the family, like Anastasia and stuff, is by using the maternal line DNA, which just so happens to be Prince Philip.
Oh.
Because remember when I said that Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth are related distantly. They both share a great-grandmother or great-great-grandmother in Queen Victoria.
Yeah.
Okay. So because they both share DNA, it goes through like the maternal line, and his mother was the reason why she's related to Queen Victoria. And even his mother, Queen Victoria, was present at his mother's birth as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the lady, the nun lady.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's why that they have to double check the DNA and see if it's a match. She shows this to Penny and she's so excited about it. They look at the little DNA things and they're just like really geeking out together. And he's clearly in love with her because like, it's so, I mean, she's like she's his like intellectual equal, right?
Yeah.
Not the way his wife is.
Mhm.
She's only really about her horses.
Yeah.
It's like they don't really have any interests
Yeah.
that they're shared together, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they are married. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. It's not like Philip's gonna have sex with Penny natural. It's
No.
just he's having an emotional affair with her.
Yeah.
Okay, so Philip and the Queen are hashing it out in Russia, which is insane. They literally go to Russia. They go to all these like little things, and they still can't figure out if the DNA is working yet or something. And the Queen and him have like a total row in their rooms, which is crazy because I feel like the Russians would have bugged their room. I don't know why they're having a fight in there.
Should not be.
But anyway, they're fighting, and Philip's like, I want to be with Penny emotionally. He's like, you need to accept her, and you need to be seen with her so it legitimizes our relationship. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, all right. Like, Philip just... She does feel distant from him because they really don't have anything in common.
Mm-hmm.
But they are companions. Like later in the episode, he sees her playing with some dogs, her doggies, and it's very cute. And he just looks over her fondly. Like he does love her.
Yeah.
He does love his wife. It's just, they're just not, they just grew apart.
Yeah.
They grew apart. So anyway, this also is important. Penny comes over because again, the Queen has to invite her over because of this. They talk about the fact that what happened at the beginning of the episode. Why did Queen Mary not want the Russian family to come into Britain to be saved?
Right.
It turns out that the Queen didn't want the family to be saved. And the real reason was, and the Queen knows this, is because the people were really against Alexandra, the Queen of England, for being pro-German, the Queen of Russia, and for being pro-German, because she was German herself. So the Queen of Russia, the Tsar's wife, the Tsarina, she was Greek, or she was German. So like if she was brought into the UK and all her little German babies, it would be bad. Like no one would want the royal family anymore. They'd be like, you're bringing the Germans over here. They're the ones who were the bad ones.
Yeah.
In World War I.
Yep.
So, and World War II, which is why they changed their name.
Keeping up appearances.
I know. But then people get murdered.
Oh, right.
Okay. Episode 7, No Woman's Land. Martin Bashir is this guy who works at The Guardian, which is the BBC, or maybe not it's the BBC. He works at the BBC, and he's a journalist, right?
Okay.
He takes things really seriously, and he does some insane things to get Diana to do an interview with him in this episode.
Oh my gosh.
William is getting ready for Eton. He's 13, and Diana's really sad about it because he's going to go off to boarding school, and she's going to miss him, and she loves her kids. And her acupuncturist husband's in the hospital. The Queen has William over for tea all the time, and they develop a very sweet relationship. And he talks to her about his mother because she's like, "Oh, how's your mom doing?" And William's like, "She's not the best."
Yeah.
But he's 13. It's like he shouldn't have to worry about how his mom's doing. So anyway, she's a little worried about him. And then, so Bashir photoshops a document that shows that this security guy that Diana's brother had, that he had fired previously, actually had ties to the royal family through like shady, like shell companies and stuff to get money, right? And he completely fakes this. It's not real.
Yeah.
So he was already a guy that he had already fired. So he'd already been suspicious of him. And therefore, Martin Bashir's like convincing Diana's brother, actually, the royal family's against Diana and you. So that is also following Diana's suspiciousness about the fact that there's crackling on her phones. It's not looking good, right? It's suspicious. It's suspicious.
Yeah.
And so she goes to the hospital to help her friend, her acupuncturist, and while her literal husband is in surgery for his life, Hasnat Khan comes out, the doctor, and Diana notices that he's this sexy man. And she literally is like hey, do you think he was like into me? Like, do you think he was like really handsome? And like this woman who's like, husband's gonna die is like, what are you fucking talking about? Like, I don't know what you're talking.
I don't care right now.
She's always thinking about herself, which is absolutely true.
Yeah.
She's messy. Diana is driving her car and then her brake stops working. Yeah, it's pretty scary. She flies through like a red light and everything. It's pretty wild. She gets to her brother's house and she's like, maybe I should do this interview because like my brakes stopped working. And then develops a relationship with Khan for a little bit. They have like some cute little late nights in the hospital combos because she goes and visits sick people in the hospital all the time without anybody knowing because she's a gem. But also she's like not got nothing else to do. So that's what she does.
Yeah.
And she tells Bashir that she will do the interview with him. Okay. This episode, it's Guy Fawkes night, the night of the big interview with Diana. The chairman of the BBC, which is that white man down there, he's the chairman, but he's really just the chairman and he doesn't really have any power. He's like just like the figurehead of the BBC because he's the old guard of the BBC, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's actually like the CEO of the BBC that makes all the decisions underneath him.
Okay.
So that they're talking to him and this guy's like, I would like to do. Well, they don't know anything about the fact that they are going to do this interview with Diana. But the BBC does, but this guy doesn't.
Okay.
His wife is best friends with the Queen. She's one of her lady in waiting.
Mm.
So he's got it in with the Queen and he loves her,
Yeah.
obviously. And Diana's relationship with William is a little bit strained because she keeps telling him about her love life. And she keeps telling him, like, she gets unloads with him and he doesn't know what to do because he's 13.
She has no one else to talk to.
Exactly. The Queen wants to maybe get a satellite because her TV is kind of going out.
Mm.
She's like, I just want to watch the BBC. And then she gets the satellite and William puts it in and he puts on the horse racing and she's like, oh.
Horse racing.
She's like, I could get all the channels, which means I could get horse racing?
Possibilities are endless.
Horse girl. The chairman of the BBC asks the head of the BBC if he could do a Queen's 70th birthday special. And it's the thing that makes him want to embrace Diana in the interview in the face of a new Britain. So he says, like, it's new Britain. It's not old Britain. That's what the head of BBC says. But the chairman of the BBC is like, why don't we do the 70th birthday, like, to show the Queen that we love her.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks that the guy found out about the Diana interview, but that's not what happened.
Oh.
So now the head of the BBC is like, maybe we should do this Diana interview. And Diana is she's wavering a little bit with Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Martin figured out that she's got a thing for Pakistani men because she's like, goes up to him and she's like, when she accepts the interview, she's like, I'll do it. Like, where are you from? And he goes, well, I'm from Surrey. And she's like, no, where's your family from? And he goes, well, Pakistan. And then he kind of realizes that she's like, because she's into Hasnat Khan as well. I don't know why. She's just like, that's her thing. She's just got a thing. And so then he's in the car with her. She's wavering and he says this like Pakistani proverb, which is probably not a proverb. It's probably just like off the top of his head. Like,
yeah.
Just to get her to like, be like, oh, it's exotic. Like he actually is like, he's like leaning into his Pakistaniness instead of like being a British man, which is what he is.
Uh-huh.
And it's just kind of gross just to get her to do this interview.
Yeah.
And he brings up the money and the spies and he thinks, they've gotten to your brother too. Ah! No! And so then she feels even more isolated and she should do this interview.
Oh gosh.
It's so bad. He's like, all the people who love you actually don't love you. Oh my God.
Oh no.
Oh no. Okay. William's teacher brings up the Guy Fawkes night stuff, which is the bonfire night. He was a traitor. He tried to blow up Parliament. Didn't happen. But this was like, 600 years before. And he writes the word traitor on the board as soon as Diana's doing this interview, like the day of Diana's interview. It's a little bit too on the nose, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But okay. Mm-hmm. Diana does the interview and they don't know if they're going to air it. It takes like a minute because they're editing it. They watch some stuff from it. They're like, oh boy, should we air this? Because it is going to throw a wrench in everything. This is different than a book because it was like she was a little bit removed from that. This is her on TV giving an interview saying things that
are pretty
So one thing that she says, which is very, very, very well known, is she talks about how she has bulimia, but then also, or she had it, and then also that there are always 3 of them in the marriage. Always.
Mm-hmm.
Right? 3 people in the marriage. Camilla, her, and Charles, right?
Yes.
Remember when Anne said there was going to be 3 people in the marriage, but she was referencing Andrew before?
Mm-hmm.
Foreshadowing.
Ooh.
Okay. But it gets aired and everybody, like, she tells the queen that she's going to do it and the queen's really disappointed in her, but she has no power anymore. So whatever. It's very painful. Everybody's crying. It's very sad. The queen is mad. William's mad. Everybody's mad. Okay. Episode 9, couple 31. This is the time where they actually get a divorce. Charles is like, please, Mom, I hate her so much. We really need to get a divorce.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
The queen finally allows it. Diana's just really not feeling like people like her anymore. The press is kind of going against her now. It's no good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she did that interview.
Yeah.
And Charles is being a little bitch and getting a spin doctor and feeling sorry for Camilla's press issues. They get this young man. He's the spin doctor. And the queen asks the prime minister to help mediate the divorce because it's a messy, stupid divorce. Diana wants a lot of money. Charles won't give it to her. Eventually, they do end up actually like divorcing. It just takes a little bit because Diana's like, I need money, and Charles is like, why? And then eventually they're like, just give it to her. Just do it. Just end it.
Oh gosh.
So then they ended it and it's okay. But the prime minister meets with both of them and he's the mediator, and Camilla's spin doctor told Charles to just get it over with. Like, just whatever. Then they have like an autopsy of their marriage. He comes over to the house. It's very awkward. They sit down together. She makes some scrambled eggs and they're eating it together at the kitchen table. And she's like, I've always loved you. Like, this is horrible. Like, I'm very sad about the ending of our marriage. I've always loved you.
Mm-hmm.
And he just is like, well, I haven't really always loved you. I've always loved somebody else, really. I mean, he doesn't, it's very clear. And so it's just kind of awkward because he's like, he doesn't really admit that he did anything wrong.
Yeah.
And it drives her insane and she just starts sobbing.
Yep.
It's so upsetting. It's so sad because she's just like, I put everything into you, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't love each other the way that they wanted to be loved.
Right.
So that's what happens. And then it showed a bunch of pictures of them on their wedding day and the people who were cheering them. And this is like actual archive footage. And it was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And look how long that train was.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe? Oh my God.
It's on the stair. Like, she's already on a separate set of stairs. The train is still on the first set of stairs. Wow.
Her like body, I mean, it's like a really, really, really heavy dress too.
Yeah.
It's so freaking heavy. Okay. And this is the last episode of season 5. Here we go. Muhammad Al Fayed is angry because Dodi found a white American model as a wife. And of course, his father does not approve of this at all. And the country had a program where they didn't use they were like, everybody doesn't want the monarchy anymore. Most of the people said, no.
Oh.
Okay. And Charles is going to go to Hong Kong to release it to the Chinese.
Okay.
Family meeting time, everybody. Tony Blair won for the Labour Party. So goodbye, John Major. Time for Tony Blair. He's extremely popular. He won it like in a landslide.
Ooh.
It was crazy. People love this man. Tony Blair suggests that the royal lot finally be privatized instead of funded by the people. And Charles is like, that's a pretty good idea. It's on its last legs. We might as well just privatize it. Like, they have to pay for it instead of the people.
Yeah.
Because the people have been able to pay for it. And Diana was sniped by Al Fayed to join them in Saint-Tropez later in the summer.
Oh, okay.
On the yacht and in their house, right? Diana is in a particularly sad time in her life.
Yes.
Lonely time.
Yes.
And she's a messy lady. So she's going to go where the money is, I guess, because what else is she going to do? She's bored.
Yes.
She needs something to do.
Yes.
Maybe going to Al Fayed isn't the best idea, but she does, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. It really just kind of brings it up with the feelings this season. Charles is in Hong Kong and he invites Tony Blair to the Britannia to tell him on what he thinks. He's like, we need to update everything. When I'm king, is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be better, right? And he's like, we're going to live with the times. We're going to do all this stuff with the times. And then Tony Blair's just kind of shocked that he's saying this to him. He's like, wow, that's cool of you. And also, the Britannia's on its last voyage. And it's the last time. And Charles uses it to take Camilla on vacation. And the Queen finds out, and she's pissed.
Oh!
She's like, what the fuck, Charles? The mistress?
Taking my boat to take your mistress on a vacay?
Yeah. For the last time?
For my boat's last trip? Oh, God.
And she doesn't accept it, and she says goodbye to it. And that's it. That's the end of this season. So
that was the fastest season we've gone through.
Really?
Maybe.
Okay, yeah. So this one didn't win anything.
Nothing?
This season was the most boring of all the seasons.
Okay.
It did get nominated for stuff, but it's a little slow.
Like, yeah.
In my opinion.
Okay.
There's just not much going on at this point in the time, so it is what it is. Next season, that was a little bit more interesting. The IMDb rating for this one is 7.76, significantly lower than the previous season.
Oh, yeah.
And the highest one was that Moo Moo episode with Abe before, and the lowest was the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of interesting because you can see this picture of the real Diana and Charles with their kids.
Yeah.
And I saw that Princess Diana was 5'10", and also Prince Charles is 5'10". They were the same height and quite tall. For a woman, 5'10" is pretty tall. But you know who's even taller? Elizabeth Debicki. She's 6'3".
Wow.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
And Dominic West is 6 feet.
Mm.
So, he's pretty tall too.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently she had to squat in family photos to make her husband seem taller sometimes.
Of course she did.
Because Charles is a bitch.
Of course.
Yes, but I do really like this picture of them and their family. And, it's obviously we're watching a very, rounded out version of their marriage. They always had good times and bad times.
Sure.
Every marriage has good times and bad times. So it's not just Charles is always being a bitch, but he does love his kids, and he's a better dad than his own dad.
Yeah.
It's true. He's way more involved in his kids' lives, right? And it's okay, well, he wasn't the best, but it's he does love his kids.
Right.
Okay, so I guess do you want to take another break?
Let's take another small break.
Okay, we'll be back. Okay, we're back. Last season, season 6, Emily.
Season 6.
It's still Imelda Staunton.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's 1997 to 2005. This is the time.
Wow. Okay.
So it was released this past December,
2023. Yeah, that was very recently.
Yes, and as you can imagine, I watched this whole show since 2016. So I'm pretty attached to it.
This is near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, it is. Okay, here we go. So this is again the it's gonna catch up, I'm sure, our little thing. The group of the major players in the royal household. It's pretty much all the same. Obviously, Camilla is with Charles and Diana are broken up now.
Okay.
The only person who kind of changed actors, it's Prince Edward. This was literally the best photo I could find of him, this actor in this series. He doesn't really show up very much. And then also there's 2 different ages of Prince William and Prince Harry.
Okay.
So, here's other important characters. Tony Blair is still the Prime Minister. Kate Middleton makes an appearance. Dodi and Mohammed are still in there. And we've got a new private secretary, Robin Jamron.
Okay.
Okay. First episode, Persona non grata. There is the beginning of the season starts with what we all knew was coming, which is Diana's death. So it begins with a man who's walking his dog early in the morning in Paris. And it's a cute little doggy, and you're just following this man throughout Paris. And then he sees the speeding car go into the tunnel and hears a crash. 8 weeks earlier, Diana is bringing her kids over to Tony Blair's house just to have fun with his family. Mm-hmm. And they play soccer and stuff.
Okay.
And she also wants to be more of a public figure. So she tells Tony, she's like, I want to really help and bring some light to some causes around the world, like AIDS and landmines.
Okay.
Okay. So then they're going to go to Saint Tropez. It's her summer with the kids. So they go to they go to Muhammad Al Fayed's house. And they have a fun time with their kids. And they're like, they've got a big house, big pool, they have movie nights and stuff. It's very fun for them.
Yeah.
Charles is having a big 50th birthday party. So that's also why Diana wanted to leave. He's having a big 50th birthday party for Camilla.
Okay.
And she's like, I can't be in town for this.
Yeah, no.
But of course the Paps are all about Diana and they don't give a shit about Charles and Camilla.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Charles really wants his whole family to come. The only person who comes is Margot, but he goes personally to his mother's house and he's like, Mom, will you please come? She goes, I might be a little busy. I don't know.
She just won't go.
She's like, I'm going to be at this horse show over here in this area. And he goes, well, not the whole time. Can't you just come for one night? And she's like, we'll see. They have these planned. They have these things planned so far in advance. Okay.
No one wants to go.
It is a really cute, 50th birthday party. They have like a tent and it rains, but it's actually very sweet. And he gives this amazing speech to her about how much he loves her. It's just like, it's crazy. But Margot does like to see her nephew very happy.
Yeah.
Dodie is like absolutely just about to get married to this woman. He proposed to her. And
to the model,
yes. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna get married, And apparently, Harry's father calls him and he's like, you gotta get on this, you gotta come here right now. You gotta get on this yacht. Diana's here. You need to come immediately. And of course he can't say no to his dad.
Nope.
He is like beholden to his dad. He has to do everything that he wants, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Otherwise, of course, his dad's hanging over his head. You're not gonna be like the heir of my fortune. Obviously.
Oh gosh.
You won't be the head of my company if you don't do everything I say.
Right.
So anyway, and then Dodie's fiance calls him when he's on the boat with Diana, and of course Dodie's kind of mad that his dad like pushed Diana on him like this with her kids and everything, and so his fiance is like, "I'm gonna come by. I'm gonna come."
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dodie's fiance goes to, she gets relegated to the small yacht. That's like not the big yacht where Diana is.
Mm-hmm.
And so Dodie has to like ferry over there to see her. And they have a big fight. Then they have sex. Then they have a fight.
Okay.
He goes one early morning coming back and Diana is playing piano. And they kind of have a heart-to-heart about their fathers and like trying to impress people.
Yeah.
And like being like what other people want them to be.
Yeah.
Right? So they do connect on that level.
Okay.
And then he sends her a bunch of flowers when she gets home and I watch it and it says Paris next week.
Oh.
It's pretty forward.
Okay.
Okay. This episode's about these two photographers. It kind of frames the story. It's a little weak, I have to say. But the first photographer is a paparazzo. He is an Italian man. He does really like 90s like essence shoots and like really like dynamic and high fashion like model kind of thing because he's a paparazzo,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like his lifestyle is so like glamour and like,
yeah,
zooming around Europe trying to get these celebrities and stuff on camera. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's also this quaint little royalist photographer who's obsessed with the queen. And every time she's around, like his wife is like, tell the queen I love her. And like he goes and takes pictures of her everywhere she goes and he just is like obsessed with her.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's like a little man. He has his own little tiny photography studio that does traditional photography.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Totally different photographers.
Right.
Okay. They have another fucking family meeting and they got a website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, big deal. During their meeting, everybody discussed the fact that Dodie is now maybe dating Diana.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's kind of bad. We're racist.
Yeah.
He's not white or upper class.
And we're racist. This won't do.
No, he can't be the stepfather to the future king of England. What?
Oh, gosh.
Okay. What if they have a baby? Okay. Mohammed hires the best photographer to get the pap photos of Diana and Dodie. He hires that one guy.
An Italian guy.
Yeah, the Italian guy.
All right.
And of course they're having their little, time together, Diana and Dodie, and they're really connecting and she jokes. It's so silly because she's like going to bring light to the landmines in Bosnia. And so she's going to go there. And so she's telling Dodie about this. And she goes, my detonation day, which is like the day that like you step on a landmine and you lose your body or your limbs or whatever.
Or
she
you
goes,
die.
You die. And she goes, my detonation day was when I got married.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like you're comparing getting married to
Dramatic.
losing a limb, but all right.
It's a little dramatic.
It's super dramatic. But she's drama, okay? And then they were caught by the Paps, and it's the most expensive picture that it was ever taken. This man, Mario Bruna, made $250,000 selling the pictures, and not to mention $5 million selling the rights worldwide.
Whoa, cha-ching!
Can you believe?
Wow.
It's really fucked up, right?
Yeah.
It's so fucked up. Okay. And Diana and her kids have, you know, a great relationship. She loves them very much.
Yeah.
Okay. So Charles and Diana decide to be brilliant at divorce when they're changing the kids over at one point. She goes, okay, bye kids. I love you. Here, Charles. As divorced parents do.
Uh-huh.
And Charles is like, why don't we be really good at this?
Okay.
Which is a little easy for him to say, right?
Yeah.
But all right. Diana goes to Bosnia, and it's honestly incredible. She goes and meets all the people in the town, and like it's a small little town, and she walks across a minefield. She really did this.
Wow.
She could have died.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild. And then, of course, the photos come out like at the same time in the show. I'm not really sure if this really happened, but in the show, the photos come out. Everybody's upset. Charles is upset. Diana's really upset because it distracts from her landmine thing.
Yeah.
It's like she doesn't want people to care about who she's dating. She wants people to care about AIDS and landmines.
Yeah.
Just give that woman AIDS and landmines.
Just look over here. Don't look over there. Look over here.
Yeah, exactly. So then Charles is like, well, I have to have a photo shoot with my kids because I have to show them I'm a good dad and Diana's bad mom, right?
Yeah. I have to one-up her.
Yes. And so he takes his children as pawns and they go have like a little Scottish photo shoot, and there's a dog there, and then that royal the royal photographer, like that guy who was obsessed with the royals, he's the one who takes the picture.
Yes,
bringing it all back around to that cute little Scottish photographer. Okay, okay, episode 3, Dima Wee. She's on the phone with her therapist, and her therapist is like, "Girl, I mean, this is a little bit messy. You literally broke up his engagement."
Yeah. I mean, his father broke up their engagement. Well,
yes.
Dodie broke his own engagement.
But Diana knew this, and then she still was like, it's fine, right? She just is like, okay.
It's not just Diana in this situation. I mean, Dodie did it, and Dodie's father did it.
Exactly.
There's more than one person involved.
Of course.
Yeah.
But she's a little bit messy. Okay.
Yeah.
Diana's therapist is like, you have an addiction to drama. That's what she says to her. And Mohammed wants Dodie to marry her immediately. He's like, Dodie, you need to put a ring on that right now. And it's only been like 6 weeks or something.
Yeah.
It's not been that much time.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that if he doesn't do it, if he marries Diana, he's going to be the owner of the business. And if he doesn't, okay. So they go shopping, even though she doesn't want to, because every time they go shopping, there's Paps fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And they get noticed. And I think Dodie kind of did this on purpose. He kind of tipped off people so that they could get noticed, so that they have to run into this jewelry shop.
To hide
in a fancy jewelry shop. Oh, look at this. What do you think of this ring that we're standing right next to?
Oh.
And she's like, it's fine. It's nice. I like it. Right?
Uh-huh.
It's called Dima Wee. That's the name of the ring.
Uh-huh.
It's got a lot of diamonds on it.
Okay.
And then she's like, I actually would like to go home because I really miss my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And Dodie's like, well, let's just make a pit stop in Paris first. Because, okay, he says to Diana, like, she's like, I'd really like to go home, actually. You know, I've been on vacation for like a few weeks now, and I'm getting hot and tired. I'd really like to go home. And then Dodie tells his dad that she's leaving. Yeah. And he's like, no. You got to take this woman to Paris immediately. You got to get a ring on her finger right now. Tell me what ring. I will buy it.
Oh, God.
He buys that ring immediately.
Yeah.
And kidnaps her to Paris.
Oh, gosh.
Fucking ridiculous. They get picked up by the driver at the airport. Dodie and Diana are brought to Al-Fayed's house in Paris. Al-Fayed's not there, but has this horrendous painting of him in this Egyptian pharaoh outfit.
Ugh.
It's gross. And this is the same house that David used to own, remember?
Yes.
Dodie tells Diana, I will give you and Dodie this house. It's yours.
Mm-hmm.
Like implying that
that they should get married.
They should get married, right?
Yeah.
Then Diana is like, I really just want to have a phone call with my boys. And when she tries to call them, they are out stalking. So they miss her.
Oh, no.
It's pretty sad. And she's really upset about it because that's the number one thing she wanted to do. But they're driving around. There's so many paps. It takes forever to get anywhere. It's Paris.
Yeah.
It's very dense. So it's no good. And she misses the phone call with her boys, but then she gets it later. She talks to them later, and she talks to them for the last time at their hotel, the Ritz.
Oh.
And she talks to them, and basically she just is, like, she doesn't say anything implying that her and Dodie are going to stay together.
Yeah.
She does not say that. She just is talking to the boys. And, she really misses them. She's been away from her for a few weeks, and it's hard for her. And it's just really sad. It's so sad. Dodie and Diana have an explosive fight where he basically proposes to her with the ring. See that ring? Huge.
That's a big ring.
That's like a fucking, Super Bowl ring. Like, it's so big. Okay?
It really is.
And Dodie and her kind of come to the conclusion. She's like, why are you asking me to marry you? Like, do you even want to marry me? And he's like, no.
Oh, God. Dodie.
So he's like, I mean, my dad wants me to marry you. She's like, you got to tell your dad that you're not going to do this. You got to tell your dad that this is not going to happen, right?
He's not going to like that.
So he goes on the phone. And because his dad called him and he's like, Dad, I have some big news. I have some news. That's what he says.
Yeah.
And then he slyly hangs up the phone. But he keeps talking. So Diana hears him.
Oh.
And he's like, Dad, I want to be my own man. You can't hold this over me. I'm not going to marry Diana right now. It's not ready. We're not ready for it yet. He says these things, but it doesn't actually go through.
But he hung up.
He hung up after just saying, I have some big news.
Yeah.
And that's the last time he ever talks to his dad.
Oh.
So, Diana and him kind of have this little heart-to-heart situation. They've been the timeline of this crash is very, very, very meticulous, and it does require them throughout the day to be moving from place to place without telling them where they're going. So the reason they got into a crash is because at this point, the driver of the car is not really supposed to be driving them. He had been drinking for hours at this point at the bar. But because he didn't think that they were going to leave again.
They were going to go driving.
They've been going back. They've been going around all day long. They think, they're back at the Ritz. They're just going to stay there. But then Dodie's like, actually, I want to go back to our apartment in the city.
Uh-huh.
Which is not the house. It's a different place.
Yeah.
And so they're like, driver, take us to this place. And the two of them kind of look at each other. And I feel like in the way they wanted it to be in the scene was like, they're not going to be dating anymore after this. I think they decided that it's not for them. And Diana's like, I don't want to marry you, so let's just be friends.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a let's just be friends situation now.
Yeah.
So that happens, and then they get into the car crash, and they both die.
Oh my gosh.
So everybody in the car dies. So that's the problem is because there's really no witnesses to this accident. They go into a tunnel
and the drunk driver dies too?
Yes.
They all die.
They all die.
Oh,
there was another man in the car as well. In the passenger seat. He also dies.
Gosh.
They're being relentlessly followed by the paps. Right.
Yeah.
So this guy's driving way too fast. Driving 100 miles an hour.
Trying to get
going
away.
into a tunnel in Paris. They're very wiggly.
Yeah.
He goes and he basically kind of skids and tries to do this. What happens is there's this dip as soon as you get into the tunnel, and therefore the car kind of launches a tiny bit, not a lot, but it's enough to because you're driving so quickly, skid the car, and then they go headfirst into a concrete pole thing that is inside the tunnel.
Oh my god!
And no one's wearing any seatbelts.
Oh my god!
Diana apparently is awake at the scene of the crash, but she does have a lot of injuries, and she eventually dies in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty upsetting.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, so then it's basically the movie The Queen now. Do you remember that movie?
Okay.
So this is the aftermath episode, and it's by the same guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, how are they going to treat this episode? Because it has to be different than the movie.
Yeah.
There's a whole movie about
Because this
it.
director basically did this already.
Yeah. So they wake everybody up. Mohammed hears about it as well. He goes to see his son in the morgue. It's very sad. Everybody at the hospital where Diana dies is very, very upset and crying. Even Prince Philip is just sobbing. I mean, Charles and everybody's crying. It's very, very sad.
Yeah.
Charles waits to tell the boys until they wake up. Mohammed is convinced that his son was engaged and that they're pregnant. Like, what? He's convinced that they were engaged. Moo no.
No, Moo.
No, Moo. Everyone goes to mass that morning, and it's just really sad. And also, like, Charles goes to Paris to go pick up Diana's body.
Yeah.
He has to go basically identify her, and it's a great scene. I don't remember if they showed it in the movie as well, but, like, it was very sad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who played Charles in that.
Neither do I.
The Queen was Helen Mirren.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the people on the streets are very solemn when he's going by. She shows herself to him on the plane as the.
I remember Blair being a really big part of that movie.
Yes,
too. Yes,
by Michael Sheen. That's who Blair was. Remember he played Blair like 3 different times.
Yes.
This is great. He's flying back with Diana's dead body. She shows up on the plane, as a ghost, basically. And he has a conversation with her, and it's a very good conversation. Again, she says, I've always loved you. But really, you're going to be just fine.
Mm.
You're just going to get over it, and it's going to be okay. And that's what it is. I mean, yeah, and it's really sad. Charles comes back, and he says that there should be a public funeral instead of a private funeral. Like the Queen and Prince Philip are talking about it with the Spencers, and they're like, the Spencers should just take care of this. She's not a member of the royal family anymore. But then he's like, she's the mother of the future King of England. We should do a public service, and
the people love her.
Yeah. And so finally people love her. People want to mourn, and they want the Queen to be the mother of the nation and to mourn with them, right?
Yeah.
It's part of the whole thing, like her not wanting to be a public display of anything, and she has a really hard time with that.
The movie was about.
Yeah, it's literally like, so, it's definitely more squished together in this, and also there's Dodi. So they have their first janaza prayer for Dodi, and then the dead Dodi has a conversation with his father about how he shouldn't idolize the West, and they aren't going to reach his expectations.
Oh, okay.
That's exactly right.
They're not. That's some deep conversations with your sun ghost.
Well, and in no way does this sun ghost ever say, Dad, you were too hard on me.
Yeah, no.
Which is really what it was, but because they're just figments of the imagination of the person they're appearing to, they're not going to say that, right? They're going to be like, sorry, like, I forgive you for everything you did to me or whatever. Obviously.
Basically.
So, yeah. So, William goes missing at one point for like 24 hours, and everybody's like, where the fuck is he?
Oh, gosh.
He was like out, he just went on a walk. He was needed to have some him time, right?
Yeah.
Once he comes back, the Queen is kind of like, okay, this, not just for the boys, but for everybody, we need to have this like public funeral situation. And I'm going to make a speech in front of everybody. They don't have that scene where she goes in front of the gates and talks to the people and shakes hands and everything. They don't do that, but that is in the movie. So I highly recommend watching this movie. It's very good.
Very good. It was very good.
It was very good because there's a lot more politics with it, especially with Tony Blair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
And the Diana does show herself to the Queen, and that kind of makes her want to do the speech as well.
Yeah.
And she says, like, you've always taught us what it means to be British. It's time to show you're willing to learn too.
Hey.
That was a really good quote.
Yeah.
Okay. And she makes a speech. So episode 5, Will's Mania, there is a time jump. Will is a different character now, different actor. He's 15. He's a real heartthrob. He's going to school, back to school. Charles drops him off, and he's super fucking angsty. Charles has a conversation with his sister about it.
Hey, it's 15. That's like peak angst.
He's so angsty, and his mom died.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So he's got every right to be angsty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh no.
They have a cute heart-to-heart about it, and William got tons of letters, just like his mom earlier in this series, and all these letters are just like, you're so cute and so sorry about your mom. And all the boys in the school send him a letter, and all the boys are like, hey, you're welcome to join us. And any of the rowing lads, you're welcome to join us for anything, dude. We'd love to have you.
Okay.
The guys are really nice to him because he is the prince. So they really don't need to be nice to him, but at least he's not like his brother Edward.
Right.
You know, he has a better attitude about stuff than his brother Edward. So
yeah.
The boys have to participate in all this anniversary stuff. So you get to see the different Harry actor as well. Who's also kind of a little shit. And of course, all the girls are screaming about Will because this is the cutest time of his life.
Mm-hmm.
When he is like 15 to when he's like maybe 25, he's got a full head of hair.
Yep.
And he's pretty cute.
Yeah.
He's pretty handsome. So like this is his time, right? Very high popularity time. Charles came to eat and to chat with William, and he's just like not giving him anything. He's like, sure, whatever, Dad. Yeah. And then of course, like Charles is like, what's wrong with my son? The boys and him are going to Canada to go skiing for Easter, and they also have to do a photo shoot. This is also kind of the first time we see the drinking that like Harry has. Like he's supposed to be like 13 in this or something. I don't know. 14 maybe. And he's like drinking like hard alcohol.
Oh gosh.
He's drinking like whiskey.
Oh.
Yeah. So like the two of them are kind of sneaking drinks all the time in this episode. And it's just like, okay, you're young teens, but sure.
Yeah.
All right. Charles is like obsessed with Camilla. He's always talking to her. There's so many scenes where he's on the phone with her. She's his everything. Yeah. She's his love of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Charles asks his parents for help with the angsty Will and prompts Philip to look at his old videos and letters with his son. And he's like, was I a bad dad? They told Will at school that his grandma and grandpa wanted to talk to him, but they actually ambushed him with Charles.
Oh.
And then Will yells at his dad for killing his mother. He literally says, you killed her.
Oh.
And then Charles is like, you don't mean that, buddy. I didn't kill her. Okay. We did not it's nobody's fault. If anything, it's the drunk driver's fault.
Yeah.
That's whose fault it is. But it's also the Paps.
Yeah.
It's bad. It was just an accident, right?
Yeah.
He's screaming at his dad. It's pretty sad. And then Philip shows up at Eton and they have like a little game of chess and he tells him he needs to forgive his dad. He's like, it's really hard, but you gotta do it. He's the only one you got left.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So then Will hugs his dad in the garden and Philip looks on, and then Will visits his mother's grave, which is on a little island. It's like you have to take a little boat out to get to it. An island in the middle of like a lake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it's a really sweet scene because Will just goes up to his dad. I know you can't really see it there yet.
It's very delayed right now.
Dude, it's so delayed.
Yeah. It's very delayed.
Oh no.
It's fine. I just keep looking at yours. Oh,
okay.
Here we go. We're here.
As you can see, he goes up to him and it's like a long distance shot and he just hugs his dad. It's really sweet.
That's nice.
Yeah. Okay. His dad fucking hugs him, which is more than his mom would do.
Yeah.
Right? Like more than like the queen is what I'm saying.
Right. The queen. Yeah. Yeah.
She doesn't hug.
Also, gotta say, Diana's grave being on an island in the middle of a lake, very dramatic.
Ice. It's like exactly what. Well,
it's a vibe.
They put it there because they don't want people to go visit it.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
Because like it would be swarmed all the time if she was buried in a public place.
Yeah,
like this is a private area. You can't go there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Smart.
That's true. Yes.
Okay. So this episode, there were some shots of the Queen walking through the streets at one point where they were filming this season, and people thought it was like, oh, she's going to be looking upon herself when she's dead. That it's going to go to when the Queen is gone, and they're taking down the sign and putting up the new king sign. And so people are like, they thought that it was going to be like a flash forward situation.
Oh.
Which it is not. She just has a bad dream about how popular Tony Blair is that people will decide to kick her out and put Tony Blair in as king.
Okay.
That's just her dream, right? She just has a bad dream.
Okay.
Another family meeting time. The Queen is doing a bunch of testing with people to see how popular they are. Is not good. Is dismal. People hate them.
No, great.
The whole family is like, oh, fuck.
That's not good.
As you can see, family meeting time.
Yeah.
Okay. We love Blair today. but maybe not tomorrow?
Oh.
Question mark.
Oh.
Blair makes a good argument for involving in the Kosovo-Serbian War. Do you remember we watched that movie, Quo Vadis Ida? It's all about that. Remember the one where the woman was running around doing all the translating and she, her kids get murdered? Do you remember that? Her husband? It was a foreign film. It was nominated for an Oscar when we watched all the Oscars in 2019.
Uh-huh.
It was about the Bosnian-Serbian War.
Uh-huh.
And she's like running around at the UN, like in the warehouse, and she's trying to help all the people. And then the army comes in and they murder all the men. Do you remember that? That's what's going on right now. So it's very serious.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Okay. He does an amazing speech, and he does it for the Americans as well. And they're like, "Wow, this guy, he really knows what he's talking about, right?"
Yeah.
But the Queen is also good at some stuff, like talking to the Women's Institute.
Yeah.
The Women's Club.
Okay.
They love her there.
Sure. Yeah.
Full of Karens.
Yeah.
Okay. Blair has got some ideas about how the Queen should be demonetized and modernized. And like truly like they need to be treating the company like a public. It needs to be public. So you need to know how much they're spending, what they're spending it on, you know, what the public is paying for. Really?
Yeah.
Because they don't really know. It's not clear where their money is going. They just spend tons and tons of money.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Why do they deserve it? Because they have the blood type? Like what makes them special?
Yeah, it's like that kind of thing is not as valued in today's time.
This is the 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're talking about it. They're like, well.
It's a very, very good conversation to have.
Yeah, absolutely. So Blair's just attacking all the functions of the uselessness of this monarchy.
Yeah.
And then the Queen has like truly tons and tons of interviews, and they're delightful with all the people who are under her, like all the people that work for her. The hereditary Grand Falconer, the Queen's air strewer, the washer of the sovereign's hands, the royal barge master, the warden of the swans.
The warden of the swans.
All these people are born into this as well.
Yeah.
Their families are the ones who were the warden of the swans for generations, right? It's just a symbolic thing.
This is feeling very Downton Abbey.
It is. Charles is like, we gotta maybe remove some of these. And then finally the Queen is like, I'm not removing any of these things.
Of course she's
We come to this place for magic.
Oh.
It's all about the mysticism of the monarchy. People don't want us to be living in your house. They want us to be living in a fucking castle. She does have a point.
Yes.
Anyway, they want symbolic. They just want awe. They just want it to be like a fairy tale for them.
Yeah.
Right? It's true. I'm watching this show. She has a point.
Yeah.
Okay. The 2000 election is happening with the crazy Florida recount situation with George W. Bush, and Blair's kind of upset that it's not Gore because he had a relationship with Gore because he was the vice president. And underneath and Clinton, he was very close with. They had a special relationship. There's a whole movie about it with Michael Sheen. And so then he's like, well, bummer. It's George W. Bush is actually there. And at the time, like, he's like he's like with him when this happens. It's pretty weird. But anyway, the Queen thinks all the skills are needed. And the tradition is their strength. And the Queen's Secretary, Robert, says he would like to step down because it's been really hard to judge the public's mood. He's just been like, I've been consistently making wrong choices for you, so I think I'm going to step down now.
Yeah.
And the Prime Minister gives this speech to the Women's Institute, and it's a fucking failure. They boo him off the fucking stage.
Oh, no.
So you know who's good at talking to women? The Queen. You know who fucking sucks? Is this Blair dude.
He can't talk to women.
It's the beginning of the downfall of Blair, okay?
Oh, no.
All right. Season 6, Episode 7, Alma Mater. There's a flashback where Kate is young with her mother. They're handing out flyers in the middle of London, and they see Diana and the young William there. So she's a little bit starstruck by him. And her mom is putting ideas in Kate's head about actually marrying the prince one day. He's on all these teen magazines. She's got a poster of him on her wall.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, back to when William's 18. People are asking where he's going to go to school. They thinking maybe it's Edinburgh, like where his dad went to school, I think. And then he's like, no, I'm going to go to St. Andrews in Scotland. Which is,
okay.
Outside as well, in Scotland. So he goes, he does a gap year first in South America and also in Africa somewhere. And
Okay.
he does like a little, just there's scenes of him scrubbing toilets and, hanging out with kids and stuff like that. And it's like he's getting his worldly education. Catherine's mom is like intent on wondering what's happening to him. She's like driving in the car. She's being really, nosy about everything, trying to like figure out exactly what his life moves are. Right.
Oh, okay.
Figures out he's going to be going actually to St. Andrews. And so she sends her daughter there as well, Catherine.
Oh.
She also sends Catherine on like the same gap year program, but they're off a year. Or like off a season. So they don't actually like see each other there. But then she has all those like experiences very similar to had William had. And then she's in school and all the boys are like, she's the prettiest one around.
Yeah.
I mean, this actress they picked is very cute. So like, obviously she would be the hottest girl in school. And it's like, he's the prince and he's pretty cute at this time. It's like, he could pretty much have whoever he wants. Like the hottest girl in school and the hottest boy in school. Okay. There's a party and this girl, Lola, starts making out with her. And so she kind of snags him and they're dating now because he's like powerless against her. He's just like, whatever, I'll just do whatever you want, Lola. Apparently she's not a real person. They might have like melded a couple girlfriends that he had in school together.
Okay.
It's not really like accurate.
Yeah.
Again, this is not exactly how their relationship ended up going. They just needed to add some drama.
Yeah.
Okay. But they go in the library at one point because he needs to borrow a book and she's sitting there and she has the book and they have like a cute little moment where they're talking about their South American adventures. And then Lola comes up and she's like, stop talking to my boyfriend. And then, the prince says something kind of mean, like to Catherine. He just kind of blows her off. He says something kind of like silly to her. And it's a little awkward because Lola's there and he's trying to save face.
Yeah.
And it's dumb and he feels really bad about it. So bad about it. He's like, fuck, I fucked that up.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So then he's like, I'm actually just going to go away from the weekend instead of go to this fun foam party that everybody has, apparently. Because he's being so sad about fucking it up with Kate. And he breaks up with Lola because he hates her. And he's like, so stupid. And then Kate starts dating another guy at this foam party. And then she starts dating him for several months. And then Will apologizes to her in front of the other dude. It's Christmas time. Will is thinking about not going back to uni. The queen comes into his room and says, is this about a girl? Just keep looking up, dude. Like, you're going to land on your feet. Their relationship is so sweet. She loves her grandchild. She loves him so much. She talks to him about his like feelings. She didn't do this with any of the other kids.
Yeah.
And when she does, she doesn't like actually give him good advice. At least with this time, she like gives him good advice. She lets him talk about stuff. And it's actually really, really cute. And they have a special bond. And she says, don't lose faith. But then Kate brings her other boyfriend home for Christmas. And her mom is like, ooh, I didn't want this guy. I wanted William.
William, yeah.
And then she puts like a necklace on Kate. She's like, how much you maybe think about, making up, forgiving William for what he said to you, right?
And breaking up with this
loser. Yeah, this loser who's not going to be the king of England, right?
Yeah, who's not the prince.
I know. Okay. So then she texts, even Harry is like, you really can't be the screw up here. You can't drop out of uni. I'm the one who's the screw up. So you have to go back to uni. And Kate texts him on his old super 2000s, early 2000s phone.
Look at this green screen.
He's like holding it up in the darkness and it's like
his whole face is green.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Kate says, don't leave uni. They did it, everybody. Okay. Episode 8, The Ritz. This movie is, see the movie A Royal Night Out. It's literally the whole entire...
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't really have to explain too much to you, but it's a flashback to 1940s. Young princesses break out of the castle for VE and they kind of go on a night on the town.
Hey.
They're remembering it because the sisters are having like... They're having tea or playing a game. They're playing cards or something. And the older sisters, and they're like, oh, remember we did this? And then the queen keeps shutting it down. She's like, don't even talk about that. I don't want to talk about it.
Don't ever talk about how you did that.
There's something that they do that you don't know what it is. And you're like, what did she do? What did the queen end up doing? Like out when she was out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Margot is getting a lot older. She's on her island and she has a stroke.
Oh.
Because she just parties all the time. She has
Yeah.
nothing else to do. She doesn't have a job.
Right.
She just has fun with her parents, drinks and smokes a lot. And she goes too hard. She goes way too hard for somebody her age, right? She has a stroke, and then she has another stroke in the bathtub. When she's coming out of the bathtub. So she falls. It's very, very sad. I did not put any of this. They have a birthday party for Porchy. And then Margot is like, Porchy and Liz and I once went out, and then the queen's like, "Nope, okay, we're gonna stop that conversation.
We're not talk about that.
We're not gonna talk about that." But they end up at the Ritz. That's what that isn't. And then strokes are getting a lot worse. Margot was really just having a hard time. She can't really talk. During this bad time is also when 9/11 happened, so it's just really sad. And Porchy dies.
Porchy dies.
Yeah, I mean we don't see it, but it's and then the sisters do have like a little, sisterly moment together. They're best friends. Like even though they've had like a lot of issues in the past, they're the only ones that they're for each other, right? It's like super, super sad. So we actually do find out what happened. Liz ended up leaving the like swanky part of the Ritz, like where all the high class people are, and she goes down to the basement to the pink sink.
Oh,
and she does a little dance down there, and that's where all the people of color are, and like actually like the fun dancing is.
Oh,
and so she dances down there, and it's really sweet because her sister comes and finds her, and they dance together.
Oh,
the two princesses, right? It's so stinking adorable. They walk back down the mall when the sun's coming up, and this is like the saddest. I'm literally gonna cry again. The two young girls go up to the front of the gate, and she turns to her and she's like, "Are you coming?" Like Liz is like, "Hey, Margot, you gonna come inside?" And then the older Leslie Manville is on the other side, and she says, "Not this time."
Oh no!
It's so sad. And then God, it kills me every time.
Tissues.
God, it's so sad. And then Leslie Manville, doesn't go in, and then Liz walks in without her, and then Leslie Manville's just like, and she's dead.
And then she dies. Oh,
Leslie Manville. I love her so much. She's such a good actress.
Yeah, she's really good.
God, ever since we first saw Leslie Manville in North and South, I have loved this woman.
Oh God, yeah.
OG, North and South, everybody.
So good.
Oscar-nominated Leslie Manville. Oh, God, so cute. Okay, and then it said at the end she died peacefully in her sleep at 6:30 a.m. on 9th of February, 2002, and she was only 71 years old.
Oh, but those strokes, man.
The stroke, the drinking.
Oh, yeah.
It was really bad. Like, she was a drunk. She literally she was an alcoholic. Straight up for decades. Really, really bad. So, anyway, God, that really so sweet. You really should watch it. It's really good. Okay, episode 9, Hope Street. Al-Fayed thinks that they murdered his son and also Diana because they wanted to cover up that she was engaged and pregnant.
Oh my God, this guy.
Of course, this is really hard for William to hear, who's a lot older, and he's just like, I don't want to hear this about my mother.
Yeah.
The queen mother is now dying. She's like 101 years old.
Jeez.
She's so old. She's finally dying. She's
really stuck it out.
She stuck it out. It's crazy. She's so old.
Oh,
and of course, Liz is like super sad.
Yeah.
Her mom's dying.
Yeah.
Kate is back to being single, and she models in this fashion show, and William's like, oh my God. And her mom's like, show off those legs, darling. She's so Mrs. Bennett.
No.
Okay. Then they kiss, and it's actually really cute, but then obviously Queen Mother dies as soon as they're about to make it official.
Oh.
But I think they know that it's official. They're kissing.
Okay.
And Harry starts to be a little bitch, and he's like, I have it really hard. Like, I'm number 2, and it's just like Mother. Like, everybody just hates me or something. And then Will's like, our mother had it so much worse than you. Like, you have no idea what it was like for her. She had a really hard life. It was really hard for her.
Yeah.
And, they get a little tiff because I like it because they keep showing the way Harry is now, and like it kind of, the way he ends up, it makes sense. So they want to like foreshadow that, right?
Yeah.
Harry's the one who's kind of the mess.
Yeah.
Let's just say he inherited all of his mother's messy qualities. Okay.
Yeah, and he goes on to have that book published about him being like the
spare.
The spare, yeah.
Yes, spare. And I've not read this book yet, but Harry, in my opinion, is just, he's not like, I don't really care about him, but
I'd rather read that Diana book.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay. They have to, the investigators have to go into figuring out what caused the crash, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been a few years, but they still are going to go into it and see what happened. They do all this computer analysis and stuff to figure it out. They also do these interviews with everybody. They tell Charles that Diana felt that she was being stalked, or she felt that she was unsafe. And Charles had no idea about this because he didn't actually care about Diana.
No.
So he didn't know about this. And he's pretty upset about it as well. And then they have to interview William, and he has to write like a little thing, and he gets really sad about it because it's like his mom, right? And they have to interview him because he was the last person to talk to her,
on the phone.
So the Queen has Will over to discuss more PR forward approach with him. It was kind of similar when Philip asked Anne to be like the like to show up and do more stuff because people like you, right? People like you, Anne, right? Same thing with the Queen, but especially with Will. He's extremely popular. He's very cute. He's in university. She wants him to show up on the Golden Jubilee and do some more stuff. But he's like, I'm really feeling a little bit like overwhelmed with school and Kate and stuff. So she's like, okay, well, you can take a little step back then. You don't have to. I just was going to see if you wanted to, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Because she loves him and she respects him.
Yeah.
Which is not like with other people, but she does for him. And they talk about Harry because he's been having some issues with like his dad finding that he's been smoking weed and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, we got to send him to rehab.
Oh, okay.
For weed.
Okay. Is it truly that bad?
Yeah, yes. It's like 2003.
Is it that bad?
Like they just don't think about it the way that they think about it today.
Like, he had a tiny little joint.
Yeah.
In a sock.
But he's not the best. He's a druggie. He's a
drug dealer.
It's bad.
Oh god. Get him into rehab.
So then the Queen also talks about the time when she was in Malta with Philip, and that was the very, very, very beginning of the show when they have the two kids together, and they have the time when they're on the island and everything was blissful for them. That's what she says.
Yeah.
And William tells her about Catherine. He says, I really like Catherine.
Okay.
And the fact that their family eat dinner together in the kitchen. And then the Queen says, like the servants?
Huh.
Like staff?
Huh. Oh.
And then he's like, yeah. And she's like, well, you know what I mean. And then we're just like,
oh god,
she's so like hoity-toity, right?
She is.
They're like a normal family. Like Catherine's family, her mother, as I didn't explain earlier, was somebody who ended up actually. she was like a stewardess. She met Catherine's dad, and then she started her own business, and she became like the breadwinner of the family.
Okay.
So like her mother and people think that she was put in a bad light in the show for like being meddling and pushing her daughter towards William, which she kind of does, but also she's a pretty cool lady. And I really like the actress that they picked for her. Other people are like, oh, the actress is really bad. Like, she's not as pretty as the real one. And I'm like, that's not true.
Yeah.
I actually think she's great. Anyway. Okay. The investigator said that Diana was not murdered and it was just an accident. Nobody's to blame except for the driver, really. Al-Fayed responds and he's pissed. He's like, that's not true. I'm not gonna believe it. It didn't happen.
Oh, God.
It's not true. I don't care what they say. Anyway, William's over to Kate's house to see her family, and they watch the Jubilee together.
Oh.
And then William just, talks about his family and Granny, and everybody's like, And then eventually he's like, I'm going to go over there. I want to be with her. And he goes out on the balcony with her, and she's overjoyed that William's there. She's so excited. She's been really, really worried that people don't like her and no one was going to show up for the Jubilee. But it turns out that it's really grand and everybody does like her and they're going to support their queen. And there was a lot of people on the mall and stuff. And then William and Kate, like, they're dating now, and he's like, we're gonna move on to this street called Hope Street, and we need a fourth roommate.
Oh,
do you want to be it? Well, so Kate moves in with William for like the last 2 years of school or something.
Oh,
isn't that wild?
Yeah,
yeah. And they live together, and then so his grandma sent him a picture of her in Malta, and that was her like Hope Street time. That was like the special time before it got shit hit the fan and it got real, right?
Before her dad died.
Yeah. So like exactly. And so she's like, this was our like good times together. This was our like best times. This was our honeymoon period, really.
So basically, it's like enjoy this while you can.
Because it's gonna get bad, and it does. Because right now they're in a pretty sucky position, with her cancer and everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's that. Oh my God, Emily, we fucking made it last episode.
Okay, we're not there yet. We still got one episode left. Here we go.
This is it. This is the last episode.
Yep.
Okay, so
oh my God,
everybody is every morning the bagpiper wakes people up at the Queen's Castle. At the same time, we see Charles. He has this very determined and calm face. He goes up and has breakfast with Camilla like he does every morning, and he says, "Marry me." So all the suits have gathered together to organize the Queen's funeral because she's almost 80 years old, and they gotta iron through all this stuff just for the future, right? They have to have a plan. So she's looking at the little model of that.
Okay.
People are protesting the Iraq war that has been going on for a few years, and people want Tony out. So while Charles is visiting, you can see they call him a liar.
Oh.
The Queen asked Charles asked the Queen if he can marry Camilla. He's like, I really want to, and she's like, oh God,
not this again.
Look at her face.
Yeah, she's not having it.
And William and Harry are talking about like how they're going to their friend's birthday party, and it's a fancy dress party.
Okay.
The bishops have descended on the Queen, and she's asked them for advice about Charles, and they're like, you can't approve that marriage. You're the head of the church. You can't approve a marriage between a divorced and a widowed man. Like, it's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But she's going to do it anyway. And William and Harry see the bishops leaving. They go in to talk to Granny, and they go for a walk, and she tells them their dad wants to get married, and they're like, this is news to us, but okay. And so fucking Harry is pissed. He's like,
of course he is.
What? Like, Dad shouldn't get married. And then William's like, Harry, Dad deserves to be happy, even though you don't like him. This will make him happy. He's going to be king one day. And ultimately, that's the only thing that matters, right?
Yeah.
Not that we actually care about his happiness, but that he's going to be the king. And that's what matters.
Yeah.
They tell the Queen, like, Harry's about to say, well, actually, and then William's like, it's fine.
He can do it.
You can do it. Yeah, he can do it. So anyway, Charles cries when the Queen tells him that he can get married to Camilla. He is so excited. He goes in there. She's gardening. She's smoking and gardening in the greenhouse. Yeah. And then he proposes to her, and it's actually so cute. Honestly, it's just
finally.
And Kirsty, were wondering what a fancy dress is. It means costume party. The Queen asks to see the bagpiper and asks him what his favorite song is, and he plays "Sleep, Dearie, Sleep" so she can pick it for her funeral.
Oh, okay.
And that was that really hot Scottish bagpiper that I sent you, and I was like, you should date this guy. He's very cute.
Okay.
Then the boys go to that fancy dress party, and
what costume is he wearing?
He dresses up as a Nazi.
Harry!
Literally, like, what the fuck, dude?
Harry!
I kind of cropped it out, but you can see.
It's very clearly there.
Oh, and somebody takes a picture of him on their little camera phone, and it's very blurry, but you can clearly see it's Harry, and he clearly has a swastika on his arm.
Oh my God, Harry!
It's even fucking worse because their family, like, I think at this point people might know about David's Nazi associations, and also the fact that, like, Philip's family were Nazis, and, like, it's bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
oh God,
it's really bad. Okay. The Queen mentions to Blair that she's been thinking of an exit strategy, whatever that means, and she watches old videos from her younger years with tears in her eyes.
Okay.
Like of her sister and her family, of all the people who are dead now.
Yeah.
It's just like her and her husband now. The queen won't bring up the fears to her husband. He's like, "What's up with you?" And she's like, "Nothing." And he also mentions about Harry and the Nazi thing and like how Harry's just going to get kind of reprimanded about it, but he's still going to go into the army. It's still going to be okay for him.
Okay.
I don't think Harry actually goes to university. I think he just does the army, but I could be wrong. Then that her first loyalty is always to the crown, and because she is like, she's kind of battling between herself if she should just step down and let Charles be the king. And she goes into her horse barn, and who shows up? Olivia Colman.
Oh,
you see her there?
Yeah.
She's like, Olivia Colman's like, you should step down. I mean, your son's ready to take over. You're tired. You're almost 80. Come on, lady. Live it up a little bit.
You're obsolete.
Yeah. She's like, it's fine. You don't need to,
Okay.
Okay. And then the queen wants everybody, she wants to make a speech at her son's wedding, which is kind of expected. But she wants to write it herself. So.
Okay.
People are like, what's she going to fucking say? Is she going to say that she's seceding?
I don't know.
Charles is telling Camilla about their horrid dinner with his sons where they were just bickering the whole fucking time. Two of them just bicker. The boys make up and then they talk about their social pressures and how, again, Harry's the fuck up and William has to marry Kate and it really should work out. And then they're like, is Granny going to step down? And Harry jokes about assassinating his brother.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. It's wedding day. Camilla looks really stressed. The queen is writing her speech. And then while she's writing her speech, Queen Claire Foy shows up. Oh, and she's like, you have always been Queen Elizabeth. There is no more Elizabeth, like Elizabeth Windsor. She's dead. She's fucking dead. You should be the queen as long as you are able. It is your duty. It is your
ride the shit out.
You literally are supposed to die as the queen. And it would be a disgrace if you didn't.
Wow. Okay. Well, that settles it.
That settles it.
That settles
She's the second one to talk to her.
Yeah.
Of course she doesn't give it up. She goes, she has this really great speech at the toast. And she goes, for you, those of you who don't know me, I'm the mother of the groom. She also is like, we all know why we're here today. I'm here to give you the race scores. And then she stands up there and she literally says, this horse won. It's Cherry Jubilee in the lead. It's just like so silly.
Oh, goodness.
And everybody's laughing and it's cute. And then she just is like, she brings up her uncle's devoted marriage and compares it to how much he loved Wallace, just like how much Charles loves Camilla. And that it was actually just like an incredibly beautiful thing that came out of their marriage. They really, 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 really loved each other.
Yeah. And
it was like they were incredibly devoted to each other. And it's very quite nice. Like it's the nicest thing she's ever said about Camilla.
That's nice.
Charles is constantly like, Camilla is such a saint. Camilla. All the time. He's just obsessed with her. It's wild. Okay. Then they're having their last family photo, and Granny talks to William and says, be kind to number 2 because the system protects number 1. Referring to Harry. And everybody's gathered to take pictures, and they're all
be nice to your little shit number 2 brother.
Shit spare. And everybody's gathered to take photos, and it's just awkward, and everybody's just being bitchy. Like there's just kids running around. There's a balloon that gets they're huge. They're a huge family and they're full of misfits now.
Mm-hmm.
It's full of people who aren't married anymore for the first time. And it's like, it's not what they fucking wanted.
Nope.
The queen is happy with her decision and she goes into the grand hall in Westminster just to think about her crazy ass family. And her husband says, they're all fucked up. None of them are ready to take over. None of them are ready for this life that we've had for a long time.
Yeah.
And then he kind of walks away and she, they kind of, the system just makes no sense anymore inside and out. And whatever will be we're going to be under these stones. Like we're going to be dead.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, it's not going to be anybody else who has to handle this. Like we're not going to care. We're going to be gone. Right.
Yeah.
The queen hears, sleep dearie sleep. And she also sees like, her coffin as in the future that she will be in there, and she kind of was like reconciling with the fact that she's going to be queen for another 20 years.
Yeah.
Remember? She doesn't die till she's like 96 years old.
Right.
And then her younger self shows up like as a teen, and then the two, Claire Foy and Olivia Colman, kind of appear behind her, and she's remembering herself.
Yeah.
And it's really, really great. And they were all in the same scene together. It's very sweet. And then she walks alone towards the light at the tunnel of the long hall, and she's just like accompanied by her younger selves. And then she just closes the door, and that's
how
it.
the show ends. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty good.
What an ending.
Yeah. And I'm crying again. Yeah. So just like a round out again, like this show was very important to me. I mean, I've been watching it for a long time. So like there's been a lot of things that happened with the royal family after this show, and it kind of influenced the way that they wrote it. Harry left the royal family. He decided to just move to California.
Right.
And he's not really a royal anymore. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, the Queen died when I was watching the movie Bullet Train. That was crazy. The Queen also died like right kind of like, they were filming this and they found out that the Queen died, and everybody was like really affected. Like even Imelda Staunton, like she was like pretty upset about it.
Yeah.
I mean, people were really upset, and obviously
it's a big day in history.
It's a big day in history.
The Queen died. Like, it's crazy.
And you get to see like her reign throughout the show, and I think they do an amazing job of just going through a lot of the major things that happened to her.
Yeah.
And just kind of like the political scene of the UK throughout the whole of the 20th century and into the 2000s. So it's pretty like well-rounded in that aspect. But again, the same issue with the fact that like they're going to be passing on the monarchy to the next generation, and King Charles is the king and William is supposed to be the king next. But like, will that happen?
We'll find out, I guess.
It's like, what is their purpose? Like, they just waste money, right? Like,
yeah,
they do bring in a lot of tourism dollars, but then again, it's like, does that really offset the cost of their lifestyle? Because they still have to pay so much for them. So I guess we'll see. And then this whole debauchery, like what happened with the press, they've never been good at the press. They just suck at it. They just don't understand what's going on with the people ever. Even the press people. It's like, you don't know how to release things. Like literally just what happened with Kate. She was like undergoing tests. They were like, she's in the hospital, so she's not going to be seen until Easter. They said this. And yet people were like, where's Kate? Where's Kate? Everybody's speculating. And of course it's like, Kate's having surgery. Like she's sick. And so then people are speculating and speculating and speculating. And it's just like, you're just making up stories of things that aren't actually happening. Yeah. And it's really disrespectful to them, obviously. Yeah. And so it's just like, it's a mess. They're always a mess. And it's going back down. Like and they were high and then it's like,
they won't confirm or deny anything.
No, and then she does this like weird video, and it's just like,
yeah, and those crazy posts that happened where like she posted a picture of her and her family, and then someone said it was AI, so they took it down, or
it was just photoshopped. Like,
okay,
as all things are photoshopped, it was just extra photoshopped, and people are like, that's so weird. Why would she post that? Like, it's just like, when did she take this picture? Why does this look odd? It's just awkward. Everything's awkward.
Yeah, they're really not good at the press.
No, they're not. I did see them last year or 2 years ago. I stood out in the rain and I watched them both speak. It was pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, here in Boston.
Yeah. That was cool.
It was worth it.
Very
anyway,
cool.
Yeah, so that's just I feel quite positive about the royal family in general, but like I do want to see what they do. It's always interesting to me. But
I mean, the drama is always exciting, but I could care less about them.
Yeah. So the 2024 Emmys have not happened yet.
Nope.
So the Golden Globes did happen, and they got some nominations, but the only person who won was Elizabeth Debicki for supporting actress.
Wow.
Even though she was only half the season.
Yeah, she was only like the first episode, and then she had a few little cameos. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's pretty wild. This I think had the lowest, if I'm not mistaken, 7.25 out of 10. The highest episode was the last episode. And then the lowest is some of the kind of middling ones. The season 6 involved 6,500 costume fittings for extras.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
That's a lot.
It is. And there is a lot more information about this show that I could not include.
Because we don't have 4 more hours to record this.
And I'm really, really hot right now. And it's done. It's over. We did it, everybody. Woo!
That is it.
I'm so tired. Okay, Emily, you can.
Okay. That was our first drunken, not so drunken summary of The Crown. But the first part was sort of drunk, sort of.
The second part was caffeinated.
Second part was caffeinated. First part was definitely inebriated. Okay. If you enjoyed this 2-part series, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and IMDb. We are also on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Acast. If you want to email us, please do that at allbythepopcornpodcast@gmail.com. You could also follow our social media. We have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search All By The Popcorn or All By The Popcorn Podcast. And we have merch, so please check that out. Not sure when we're going to do the next one, but we'll let you know when we know.
Okay.
Talk to you next time. Bye!
Bye!